Chapter 1. Violet. I swear the ancient espresso machine hates me. Planting my hands on my hips, I squint at the frustrating lump of metal, trying to ignore the bead of sweat tickling its way down my spine. To the right of me, a small line of customers has formed at True Brew's pickup counter. Although there haven't been any complaints so far, I can sense the infamous New Yorker impatience building with every foot shuffle and watch glance. "Sorry for the wait," I call out, hoping my smile doesn't look as frazzled as I feel. "We'll have your coffee ready in no time." I inch closer to the machine, peering around to make sure no one is in earshot, before I whisper, "If you won't do it for me, do it for Dad." I clasp my hands together and hold my breath, almost believing it might hiss into action at the mention of its late owner. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I'll be adding Machine Whisperer to my resume anytime soon, since it stays obstinately silent. And now, short of frantically tapping the temperature gauge, I'm officially out of ideas. Jared steps up beside me, nudging me away with his shoulder.
"Let me look at her,"
he says.
"You can take over up front."
Brushing a loose tendril of hair out of my eyes with the back of my wrist, I give him a grateful smile. "You're a lifesaver." Jared's been working at True Brew for a couple of years and has developed an uncanny ability to keep the temperamental machine running. But regardless of his magic touch, there's no denying the truth. It's going to have to be replaced sooner rather than later. Leaving him to tinker and hopefully get everything running again, I head to the front counter. There's only one customer waiting, a young, harried-looking mom with a fussy toddler on her hip. The little girl, who has a glorious mop of red curls on her head, looks hot and cranky and about ready to explode. I smile at the mom and take her coffee order. After ringing her up, I point at the jar of giant fluffy marshmallows we keep on the counter. "Would she like one?" The woman's face brightens. "She'd love one." She turns to her daughter. "Wouldn't you, Molly?" The little girl hides her head on her mom's shoulder before peeking out at me and nodding. I smile to myself as I lift the lid of the jar and use a small pair of tongs to pull out a pink marshmallow. "Here you go, sweetie." The little girl holds out her hand, and I drop it onto her palm. She pulls it into her chest and stares down at it rapturously. "Thank you so much," her mom says. "She's had a long day. We both have." "Well, I hope she enjoys it. And I hope you enjoy your coffee. It sounds like it's well-deserved." She gives me one last smile before she heads to the pickup counter. I even get away from Molly over her shoulder. Unfortunately, there aren't any other customers lining up behind her, and my shoulders sag as I scan the space. The small, rustic coffee shop with exposed brick walls looks more dull than cozy, and almost every one of the wood-top tables is empty. For a split second, I flash back to another time, one when True Brew was packed to the rafters and filled with the sound of happy chatter, the grinding hiss of the espresso machine, and the clink of cutlery. Rising above it all was my dad's booming laugh as he joked with the customers lining up to enjoy pastries baked in-house, simple, tasty meals, and a range of ethically sourced artisan coffee. I let out a sigh. That was then, and this is now. 20 months ago, a heart attack took Dad from us. With his passing went the heart and soul of True Brew. And after the manager my brother Mark and I made the mistake of hiring to run the place mishandled it, the shop is no longer the bustling community hub it used to be. That's why when Mark called 5 months ago to tell me we might need to sell, I'd known what I had to do. I quit my job working for a Maine-based nonprofit and came home. True Brew is all we have left of Dad. There's no way I'm going to be the one to put a for sale sign on his dream.
"Got her going, boss,"
Jared says from behind me. I turn to him, hit with a familiar wave of gratitude that he's still working here. He's only 25, the same age as me. He could have easily moved on to another job when things started going downhill, but he stuck around. I'm sure his familiar face is what's kept our few remaining loyal customers coming back. Although, now that I've convinced True Brew's longtime specialty coffee supplier, Jose, to renew our supply agreement, a casualty of one of the previous manager's cost-saving measures, I'm hoping I'll be able to draw more customers back in. I just need to keep the place going until that happens. I smile up at Jared. Thank God that machine loves you.
She should.
His hazel eyes sparkle.
My relationship with her has lasted longer than any I've had with a real, live woman.
With a laugh, I move out of his way so he can take his place at the counter. That's because your charming smile gets you in trouble, I tease. He tilts his head, one corner of his mouth ticking up.
You think I'm charming?
I wave my finger at his face. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Don't think I haven't seen the girls who come in here batting their lashes at you. With his dark hair, cheeky grin, and that dimple, I can see the appeal. Even if I don't get butterflies when he turns that smile on me. I give him a pat of thanks on his arm. Then, after tightening the elastic tying my long hair back, I turn my attention to clearing the small backlog of coffee orders. Soon, the rush is over, although I'm not sure I should call the slow trickle of people a rush, and our part-time waitress, Sarah, heads home for the day. I'm making a coffee for Jared and myself when the bell over the door jangles, and my best friend, Anna, strolls in. She's fresh from her job as a personal trainer, still in her yoga pants and tank top. I round the counter and give her a hug. What are you doing here at this time of day? Would you believe my last 2 clients canceled? I took it as a sign that I should visit my very favorite person. Perfect timing, then. I grab her hand and lead her toward a small table at the back. Jared and I were about to have a coffee together. Anna's dark brows arch up, and an excited smile spreads across her face. Don't let me interrupt. I roll my eyes, even as I suppress a smile. You know it's not like that. If you say so. I lower my voice and angle away from where Jared's cleaning up. Just because we work together doesn't mean there's something going on between us. Besides, I'm his boss. As if that means anything. She scoffs. Haven't you read a romance novel lately? Besides, I've seen him looking at you. And have you looked at him? There's no way he wouldn't be fun in bed. He could be just what you need to get you out of your rut. Across the room, Jared wipes down the counter, the muscles in his forearm flexing in a way that even I can appreciate. I turn away and nudge her toward a seat. He looks at everyone that way, including you. But please don't try to find out for yourself if he's as fun as he looks. The last thing I need is any weird tension between my best friend and my best employee. Anna sits, crossing her forearms on the worn wooden tabletop. He's cute, and I'm sure he'd be fun, but he has too much golden retriever energy for me. I'm more of a BDE kind of girl. She gives me a shameless wink. I can't help but laugh. Big dick energy indeed. Anna's taste in men has always trended toward the alpha variety, guys with a bit of an edge. I'd take a sweet guy over an arrogant lady killer any day. They're all charm and swagger until you fall for them. Then, once they've gotten what they want and have you tangled up in all kinds of emotions, they let the mask slip, and their true selves appear. Anyway, Anna nods toward the counter. You've been working too hard. Go grab your coffee and come sit with me. Because if Jared's off the table, then I have a suggestion. I shoot her a curious look, but she merely grins and says nothing. Do you want a coffee too? I ask. Well, since you're offering, I'd love one of your single origin lattes. A few minutes later, I'm placing Anna's cup in front of her. She grins down at the latte art cat I decorated her coffee with. It's a technique I finally mastered after many, many failed attempts, which Jared used to teasingly call my latte atrocities. Then I take my own cup and settle into the opposite seat. Okay, what's this suggestion then? She leans forward and regards me seriously. I want you to hear me out before you say anything. I give her a small nod. Of course. Do you remember about a year ago I told you about this guy I was seeing? Older, handsome, wealthy. I was still living out of state at the time, but I remember the phone conversation we had about Richard and some of the things he was into. Oh, yes, I definitely remember. He left, though, didn't he? Is he back? He's still in California. We agreed on a clean break when he moved, and we haven't spoken since then. But do you remember me telling you about how he took me to that club? Her cheeks turn a little pink. Anna and I have been friends since junior high. Talking about relationships and sex isn't new for us, and she isn't exactly the bashful type, so the blush she's sporting makes me wonder exactly what she and Richie Rich got up to at that club. I remember, but you didn't go into detail. She takes a sip of her coffee, studying me over the rim of her cup. It's hard to describe. Let's just say it was, liberating. I raise one brow. That's all you have to say about it? Well, she shoots me a sly smile. I don't want to give too much away because I think you should experience it yourself. My stomach swoops, and I bobble my coffee, righting it just before it spills. You want me to go to a sex club? I whisper that last part. I'm sorry, have you met me? That's a terrible idea. She pouts, even as her dark eyes sparkle with amusement. You promised to hear me out. Pressing my teeth into my lower lip, I nod. I did, though I'm not sure I want to know where she's going with this. I know what you're thinking. I thought the same thing when Richard suggested it. But this place isn't seedy at all. It's super exclusive because it caters to a lot of very rich, very famous people. Members are vetted and masks are required to enter, so everyone is anonymous. She scrutinizes my expression, then grimaces. Probably because it's obvious she isn't selling me on the idea. Look, they take security seriously there. Background checks are mandatory, even for guests. The masks are to ensure anonymity, but I promise it's not freaky. She grins a little. Actually, it's pretty damn sexy. Just think, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to mingle with the rich and famous while they're getting their sexy on. And, she pauses for effect, if you decide you want to, it's perfect for some no-strings-attached, anonymous, safe stress relief, which you, my friend, she points at me dramatically, desperately need after everything you've gone through the last couple of years. I try to wrap my mind around what she's suggesting. I know she's not just talking about True Brew, or even my grief over Dad, and my guilt for not being here when he died, although I've struggled with both those things. She's also talking about my cheating ex, Eric. Anna's the only person I told about what happened with him, since I didn't want to burden Mark with the fallout from my bad choice in men. Not when I only have myself to blame for being so blind to all Eric's red flags. That means Anna's the only one who knows why I've been so reluctant to open myself up to another relationship. That doesn't mean I haven't missed a man's touch. I might have my trusty battery-operated boyfriend at home, but there's no replacing that human interaction and skin-on-skin connection. Could this be the answer? One night with no names, no expectations, no numbers exchanged, no hurt feelings because the question doesn't even get asked, and no awkward morning after. Anna studies me, a crease between her brows. I don't want to push you or make you uncomfortable, but it would be good for you to let go. Even if only for one night. A little distraction from everything you've got going on. She puts her hand over the top of mine on the table and squeezes. And there's no pressure at all. You can do as little or as much as you want. The front area is almost like a normal nightclub, so when we get there, we can just drink and dance. It doesn't have to go beyond that. But if you do meet someone you like, then, you can explore that. My heart rate ratchets up. Could I do it? At the very least, it could be an item I can cross off my bucket list. Not that go to a sex club is on there, but who hasn't added a task to a list just so they can have the satisfaction of crossing it off? And the prospect of doing something so out of character, so wild, is oddly appealing. It's been a long time since I've felt carefree or acted in a way that even resembles spontaneous. Maybe it's crazy, but a night of pure escapism actually sounds good. Not to mention, it would be a big fuck you to Eric. I take a deep breath. Okay, let's say I'm considering it. Richard invited you, right? How would we get in if he's not around? Anna's eyes light up, and she sits a little straighter. Before he left, he paid for a membership for me. Called it a parting gift. But to be honest, I haven't been interested in going back without him. She brings her coffee to her lips and takes a small sip before continuing. The membership is due to expire in a couple of weeks. They would be ashamed not to use it at least once, especially since they are not cheap. And because I'm a member, I can bring you as a guest. We just have to submit your details for a background check first. Once it's processed, you'll be allowed in with me. She leans forward. But you don't have to decide now. Think about it and let me know. I could think about it. Or I could put on my big girl panties, give myself permission to have a night off from being Violet, struggling coffee shop owner, and do something bold for the first time in a long time. I finish my coffee, put the cup down, and give Anna a grin. One that probably looks far more confident than I actually feel. So what should I wear?
Chapter 2. Tate. The polished wood of the bar gleams under the glitter of chandeliers, and the air is a little too heavy with the mingled scents of cologne and perfume, courtesy of New York City's elite filling the ballroom behind me. I tap my finger on the rim of my now empty glass. The bartender gives me a knowing look and reaches for the Macallan 25. "Are you trying to break a record with this one, Tate?" He jokes. It's a testament to how many of these events I've been to recently that I'm now friends with the bar staff. This is the 4th charity gala I've been to in 6 weeks. Just trying for a personal best. I bring the lowball glass to my lips, inhaling the warm, oaky aroma before swallowing. The whiskey's smoky burn is a welcome respite as it courses down my throat. I've completed my networking duty as chief of marketing for my family's company, the King Group, and mingled for what feels like several monotonous hours talking up all our latest real estate developments. Now, I'm taking a well-earned break at the bar. At least, I think I've earned it. The Blue Planet Benefit is a high-profile event for environmental conservation, meaning the ballroom is full of power players and social climbers, all pretending to care deeply about the cause while eyeing each other's net worth. And since my net worth is one of the largest here, there are a lot of eyes on me. "How much longer before we can leave?" My older brother Cole asks in a low voice from next to me, echoing my own thoughts. Blowing out a relieved breath, I turn to him, only to discover he isn't talking to me at all. He's addressing the pretty dark-haired woman he has tucked into his side. Delilah, his fiancée, looks up at him, her green eyes bright with amusement.
We've only been here for an hour.
Fuck. I could have sworn it was longer than that. Even with that unpleasant revelation, I have to suppress a grin as Cole dips his head so his mouth is near her ear and grumbles that he'd rather be at home making her scream his name.
Cole?
She hisses, slapping him lightly on his tuxedo-clad chest as a faint blush tints her cheekbones. My gaze lingers on the two of them for a moment. I never thought I'd see my brother in love. Surprisingly enough, it suits him. Since being with Delilah, his smiles are more easily earned and his laughs more frequent. He's constantly touching her, or she's touching him. From subtle caresses to the possessive way his arm circles her waist, Cole seems to soak it all in, as if he can't get enough of it, as if he can't get enough of her. I need to stay at least another hour. Roman, my eldest brother, states bluntly, interrupting my thoughts. And if I need to be here, so do you. I can't resist poking the bear. Don't tell me the big bad CEO of the King Group needs his hand held at a party. If that's the case, I'm sure there are any number of women here who would volunteer for the job. Although, I cock my head. It might not be your hand they want to hold. He pins me with his cool gray eyes, and this time I can't hold back my smirk. Hand-holding isn't what I need from you, he says. What I need is for the King Group leadership to put up a united front. Not my chief of operations running home with his fiancée, and not my chief of marketing disappearing into a dark corner with the nearest bored socialite for the rest of the night. Schooling my expression to avoid showing the spike of irritation his words cause, I hold his gaze and take another sip of whiskey. I can't argue with his assessment. Until recently, that has been my standard procedure at events such as this. But it's been months since I've pulled that kind of stunt, and he knows it, even if he's not prepared to acknowledge it. Don't worry, the bored socialites of the world are safe from me tonight. With nothing more than narrowed eyes and a nod, he turns back to the ballroom, where New York's richest and most obnoxious are in full see and be seen mode. When Delilah pulls away from Cole to stand next to me, I glance at him and grin at the dark expression on his face. Our relationship has improved significantly over the last year and a half, but I'm not sure he'll ever fully forgive me for my brand of helping when he was about to screw up the best thing that ever happened to him. Speaking of, I turn back to Delilah. Have I told you already how beautiful you look tonight? I ignore the growl that comes from my brother. The corners of her lips tip up.
You did, thank you.
She touches my arm.
Cole showed me your marketing ideas for Genesis 1. I love them. You're highlighting all the sustainability features while still showcasing the luxury high-rise lifestyle.
It's not empty praise coming from her, since she's one of the architects who've been working on the project, her second for the King Group. I nod my thanks at her recognition. To be honest, Genesis 1 almost sells itself. State-of-the-art architecture, cutting-edge technology, unparalleled luxury, and a carbon-neutral footprint. It'll be a game-changer in New York's real estate market once it's built. Construction is still months away, though. In the meantime, it's my team's job, to secure as many pre-sales as possible and to make sure cash flow stays steady and investor confidence remains high. As I scan the crowd, a tall, willowy blonde catches my attention, mainly because she's staring directly at me. Her mouth curves in a slow, seductive smile, and her gaze flashes with an all-too-familiar hunger as she brings her champagne flute to her lips. She's not the first woman to try to capture my attention tonight, and, not long ago, I wouldn't have hesitated to take her up on her unspoken invitation. She has the look of a woman who'd enjoy being fucked up against a wall and given an orgasm or two to get her through the night. But things have changed. The reputation I've gained over the years hasn't necessarily reflected well on the company, and since my brothers and I took over after Dad's arrest 18 months ago, the last thing I want to do is jeopardize its future, particularly since my relationship with Cole, and to a lesser extent Roman, is improving again. At 29, I finally want to stand side by side with my brothers and know I contributed as much as they did. It's why I've been doing my best to prove I'm reformed. Not that anyone would know, judging by the increasingly ridiculous articles that have been printed about me recently. It's as if, in the absence of any real scandalous behavior on my part, the tabloids are determined to make up the craziest stories they can. Like the one from 2 weeks ago. Someone snapped a photo of me standing next to a recent divorcee and her 20-year-old daughter, both of them smiling up at me, which apparently meant we were moments from indulging in a threesome. I may have done some crazy things in my life, but tag-teaming family members is not one of them. So I merely give the woman a polite smile and continue taking in the scene of glittering excess in front of me. Unfortunately, the next blonde who comes into view is approaching fast, and suddenly, I wish I'd escaped to a dark corner with the first one when I had the chance. Mom sweeps to a stop in front of us, gracing us all with an icy smile. She's decked out in a dress as cold a blue as her eyes, and probably her heart.
Roman, Cole, Tate,
She says, acknowledging our presence.
Delilah.
She hesitates briefly, then continues.
It's nice to see you again, dear.
It's interesting that her future daughter-in-law gets 7 more words of greeting than her sons. Not that I blame her. Delilah is probably worth more than all 3 of us put together. Cole did mention a while ago that he thought not having Dad around might soften her a little. Maybe it has, and I'm just struggling to see it. I take another sip of whiskey as Mom makes small talk that even she's having trouble feigning interest in. Her focus is on the crowd, ensuring we're seen by her society friends. In the circles we operate in, appearance is everything. And Mom has always liked the world to think the King family is united, even during the times we've been anything but. It's even more true since she divorced Dad following his conviction for insider trading. Not that I blame her for that. Their marriage was never in more than name anyway. Considering how many affairs Dad had, I'm surprised she waited for his imprisonment before she signed the divorce papers. Though she's hardly innocent herself. Both my parents screwed other people throughout their marriage, although, as far as I know, Dad never made the mistake of leaving permanent proof of his indiscretions. I'm faced with the proof of Mom's every time I look in the mirror. While Cole and Roman both have light eyes like Mom and Dad, mine are a distinctive golden brown. Dad passed his dark hair onto both my brothers, and while I could have gotten my blonde hair from Mom, hers is a cool platinum, while mine is a warmer, tawnier shade. Even my skin tone differs, holding a natural tan that lingers, even during winter. Despite what it says on my birth certificate, we all know the truth. Not that we ever openly discuss it.
I hear your father is giving interviews now.
Mom's words interrupt my train of thought. Dad likes attention almost as much as you do. I throw out, giving her a too wide smile when she glares at me. My ability to control my mouth around her seems to decline the older I get. As always, she doesn't react beyond a sharp look. A reaction would require her to care what I think about her. She merely clears her throat and continues on as if I said nothing at all.
I have no idea what he's hoping to gain, apart from drawing attention back to his misdeeds and dragging the King name through the mud again.
You know what Dad's like, Cole says. Watching us taking over the company and elevating it to new heights is probably driving him crazy. He just wants his name in lights again. I snort. He's in prison for insider trading, not a string of armed heists. He's not going to have people lining up to listen to him tell sordid tales about his life of crime. What's with the attitude tonight? Roman's voice is steeped in irritation. I stare down at my glass, swirling the amber liquid around the bottom of it. I'm honestly not sure. Normally, I'm better at putting on an act at these events. Maybe it's because, in my quest to become a responsible, committed member of the King family, it's been months since I've gotten my dick wet. Late night last night. I shrug. Mom sniffs.
I only hope the details won't appear in the tabloids tomorrow.
I paste on a smirk. Don't worry, Mom. I made sure to screw the photographer who took my photo while I was shooting up in a back alley with those 3 hookers. I think she'll say nice things about me in the article. From the flare of her nostrils, I've legitimately horrified her. I take a moment to relish the satisfaction that brings as I down the last mouthful of my drink. Excuse me. I see a woman across the room with my name on her. With a wink at Delilah, I leave them, navigating through a sea of immaculate tuxedos and flowing evening gowns. People approach me as I pass through the crowd, shaking my hand and attempting to curry favor, or in the case of many of the women, flirting and angling to secure a night in my bed. Not that my bed is ever on offer. Give me any other flat surface, though, and I'm good to go. Or I was, anyway. Despite what I said to Mom, there's no woman here that interests me enough to stop my forward progress. My phone beeps in my pocket, and I pull it out, using it as an excuse to step away from the curvy brunette currently trying to maintain my attention. It's a message from my business partner, Reed. I hope you're planning to visit soon. We have matters to discuss. I grin. Every message from Reed comes across sounding a little ominous. Maybe that's because he's a little ominous himself, or at least that's the impression he likes to give. He's so tight-lipped about his past, I wouldn't be surprised if he did have some not-so-squeaky-clean connections. But it has been a while since I've been to Onyx, the club we co-own, and the idea of talking business over a drink suddenly seems a whole lot more appealing than being here. I scan the room, taking in all the people focused on me, wanting something from me. Fuck it. Roman might have something to say about it if he finds out I left early, but for tonight at least, I'm done caring. Securing his good opinion may be a pipe dream anyway. Buy me a drink tonight and I'm all yours. If you're lucky, I'll stretch to 2, but you better put out. With a chuckle, I slide my phone back into my pocket, loosen my tie, and head toward the exit.
Chapter 3. Violet. I take in my reflection in the mirror as I dab at my red lipstick. When was the last time I got this dressed up? Having to ask myself that question guarantees it's been too long. But it's not going out for the first time in a while that has me jittery tonight. It's where I'm going. From the moment I agreed to go with Anna until now, I've avoided really thinking about the whole concept of visiting a sex club. It was easier just to leave it as an abstract idea. Now that I've been approved as a guest, and I'm preparing to step firmly outside my comfort zone, nerves are practically vibrating through me. Anna, though, is untroubled. She dances over with 2 glasses of white wine and passes one to me. Her expression is soft when she meets my gaze in the mirror. You look beautiful. I smile back. You do too. Her glossy dark curls and espresso brown eyes are a vibrant contrast to my wavy brownish blonde hair and blue eyes. My coloring is an echo of my mom's. I don't remember her, since she died when I was a toddler. But the fact that I take after her is obvious, based on the family photos Dad used to keep on the wall, as well as the one I have on my nightstand now. I eye Anna's outfit. She's wearing a plunging red halter top and skin-tight leather pants that highlight all of her curves. I arch a brow at the pants. I don't know much about sex clubs, but I assumed the easier the access, the better. She laughs. True, but I'm not planning on giving anyone access tonight. I swing around to face her. I thought you were going to be, doing stuff. It's your last chance, right? She shrugs. Tonight's about you. I don't intend to do more than drink, flirt, and dance. And people really do that there? Just that? Of course. It's still a place to connect with people and have fun, but that fun can progress to the X-rated variety if you want. For that stress relief. She gives me a grin. I wrap my arms around her, breathing in the light floral perfume she always likes to wear. Thank you for being such a good friend. My vision goes blurry as she squeezes me tightly. I might be a little emotional, but it's moments like these that make me beyond grateful that Anna chose to sit next to me on our first day of junior high. You do the same for me, she says, stepping back and holding me at arm's length. I want you to feel good about yourself again. That cheating asshole had no right making you feel like less than the amazing woman you are. I wasn't there to stand by you then, so the least I can do is help you shove him firmly in your rearview mirror now. And what better way to do that than by getting your freak on with a hot, rich man you never have to see again? She releases me, then slaps me on my ass, making me yelp. Now, come on. Let's finish these drinks and get going. Once you're there, you'll feel a lot more relaxed. Okay. I tip my wine glass back and take a big gulp. A little extra courage never hurt anyone, right? With one last run-through of my hair with my fingers, I turn and face the bed where my mask awaits. Anna ordered it for me. According to her, the masks they wear at this club aren't the frilly, lacy kind that barely conceal anything. The one she chose for me matches the small butterfly tattoo on my back, the result of a spur-of-the-moment decision after I broke up with Eric and realized how free I suddenly felt. Cliché, I know, but I love it anyway. The mask itself is expertly shaped from a thin layer of supple leather and is painted in vibrant shades of blue and purple and black. When it's on, it covers my face from the bottom of my cheeks to the top of my forehead, the edges sweeping up from the eyeline to emulate wings. Each one is scattered with tiny jewel-colored crystals that catch the light and shimmer iridescently. The only parts of my face that will be visible once I put it on will be my jaw, my mouth, and my eyes. Anna gently takes the mask from my hands. I'll put it on for you. We need to be wearing them when we arrive. Another wave of nerves cascades over me. I wet my suddenly dry lips, then give her a nod and turn so she can tie the silk ribbons. Then I do the same for her mask, which is designed to resemble peacock feathers. The leather is dyed in a beautiful gradient of blues, greens, and golds. Like mine, it's adorned with crystals for added sparkle. When I'm done, we stand side by side in front of the mirror. Wow, I breathe. The result is breathtaking and strangely intoxicating. The anonymity provided by the masks eases some of the tension that has been plaguing me for the last few days. I can be anyone I want with this on. And as I study my reflection, I think I might just be a woman who's finally ready to breathe life back into the banked sparks of her desire. The Uber pulls up outside a discreet entrance nestled between two unassuming buildings in a quieter part of Manhattan. There's no indication of the club's presence, other than a man in a tailored black suit standing outside a plain black door. Rather than the stereotypical big, burly bouncer, this guy is compact and neatly put together. The intensity with which he scrutinizes Anna and me as we approach, though, makes it clear that he knows how to take care of trouble. Anna hands him a matte black card, which he scans with a small device he pulls out of his pocket. When he holds it out to her, she presses her thumb against it. I raise my brows, baffled at this whole secrecy thing. Not to mention the idea that my friend is a part of it. The machine beeps, and he hands her card back. He stares down at the screen, then up at me, probably confirming my identity against the photo identification I had to provide with my details. With a small nod, he pockets the device again.
Enjoy Onyx, ladies.
The door clicks open, and I follow Anna inside. The scene I'm confronted with isn't at all what I expected. Not that I know what a high-end sex club looks like, but the long, dark, quiet corridor we've stepped into throws me. A beautiful red-haired woman stands at the far end, wearing a serene smile. "Good evening, ladies," she says, as Anna leads me toward her. "If you would like to leave your purses here, you can go right in." "Don't we need those to pay for drinks?" I whisper in Anna's ear. "No." She gives me a slight shake of her head. "It's a tap system. Before we leave, we'll pay for anything we purchased." Once our purses are secured behind a locked panel with a keypad, the woman hands us each a black bracelet with a silver 4-digit number on it. I slip mine on with a frown, darting a glance at Anna, then at the woman. Obviously sensing my confusion, she addresses me. "If you'd like to order drinks or certain activities, just scan your bracelet. It's been coded with your details, and anything you purchase will be charged to your account. It saves you from having to worry about your belongings if you choose to indulge while you're inside. Also, please be aware there's a limit of 3 alcoholic drinks per person during your time here at Onyx, to ensure your ability to consent is fully maintained." "Oh, yes, of course." I plaster a bright smile on my face to hide how out of my depth I feel. She returns the expression with a reassuring smile of her own, as if she can see right through the pretense. The first time is always a little intimidating, but give it a chance, and I think you'll enjoy your evening. How it unfolds is completely up to you. Please remember that. Swallowing past my increasingly dry throat, I nod. Thank you. With that, she presses a button, and a door unlocks. Anna leads me through, and a moment later we're stepping into the club itself. I stop just past the entrance and scan the space. At first glance, it appears like any super-exclusive nightclub. Or what I imagine a super-exclusive nightclub might look like, anyway, since I haven't been to any. Apart from the strobe lights over the packed dance floor, the lighting is dim. A long, curved bar extends down one side of the room, and in the far, shadowy corners are a number of booths and alcoves with seating. But with a longer look, I take in all the details that distinguish this club from others. The most obvious being that everyone is wearing a mask, even the bartenders. Although, while most of the guests have donned detailed, elaborate face coverings, theirs are plain black. The anonymity lends an edge to the scene that, like Anna said, makes the atmosphere more mysterious and just that bit sexier. The music isn't a recent hit as far as I can tell, but it has a low, seductive beat that pulses behind my sternum. The rhythm pulls my attention back to the dance floor. As I examine the crowd, I realize it isn't only singles and couples dancing, but groups of 3, 4, or even more people of all sexes rubbing up against each other. Biting my lip, I continue my perusal. It's then that I notice what's going on in the seating area. In one of the booths, a man has pulled down the top of a woman's dress, and he's bending over her so he can... Oh, wow. With a wave of heat washing over me, I glance away, only to find myself focused on a couch where another woman is straddling a man's lap. She's wearing a dress, but his hands are kneading her ass. I can't tell whether he's moving her or she's moving on her own, but with the way her head is thrown back, there's definitely more than making out going on over there. I swallow hard and turn to Anna. Her smile is amused. I'm pretty sure I had that same expression on my face when Rich brought me here. Yes. It's a lot to get used to. I let out a nervous laugh as I fanned myself. Although, I actually expected it to be more... I hesitate, my mind a little too jumbled to find the word I'm looking for. She arches a brow. Debauched? I guess. Not in a bad way, I hurried to clarify. Like, I don't know, people getting tied up and whipped, or something like that. She grins and points to a spot behind me. See that doorway over there? On the other side of the room, there's an opening in the black-painted wall, and through it, the start of another darkened corridor. Yes? That leads to the back area. Lots of smaller spaces for different activities. She uses the same word as the woman out the front. There are private rooms as well, with all kinds of equipment. That's where most of the stuff you're thinking about happens. Oh. My shoulders ease a fraction. I wasn't sure what to expect, but the possibility of walking into the middle of an orgy has crossed my mind a time or two. Apart from the action happening in some of the darker corners, though, it's easy to pretend this is just a normal club. Do you want a drink? Anna asks. With a deep breath in, I give her an enthusiastic nod. God, yes. We move to the bar, which, fittingly, appears to be made from backlit onyx. The slight concave curve to it means everyone standing at the bar can see and be seen. A bartender soon approaches, and after he scans our bracelets, we order a Manhattan for Anna and a Cosmopolitan for me. As soon as the drink is in my hand, I take a long sip to calm my remaining nerves. Then I turn so I can take in more of my surroundings. The whole place drips with decadence. The dim lights reflect off the black glass panels lining the wall behind the bar, the liquor bottles arrayed on the attached shelves, and the crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. The masks worn by the other guests are similar to mine and Anna's, though in an assortment of designs. There are animal masks, demon masks, cute masks, beautiful masks, masks meant to scare or intimidate. The women are dressed in varying degrees, from near nakedness to skin-tight bodysuits. I thought I was daring when I put on my sexiest outfit for the occasion, the little black dress with a low neckline, an even lower back, and a skirt that flares out at my hips and flirts with my upper thighs. But Anna and I are among the more conservatively dressed women here. In contrast, many of the men are wearing suits, which throws me a little. I assumed there'd be more skin on display. But maybe that's the point. Maybe for many people it's the power imbalance, or at least the illusion of it, that turns them on. "See anyone you like?" Anna asks. I blink, then focus back on her. I'm not really sure what I'm looking for, or what I want, or even if I want. That's okay, there's no rush. Let's finish our drinks and then go and dance. And Violet? She touches my hand, what I can see of her expression, earnest. Remember what I said. There's no pressure. If all we do is dance the night away, then that's okay. Right? It's been too long since I've given myself a night to forget all my cares and just dance and have fun. She's right. I take a deep breath and will the last of my jitters to disappear. Finally, the tension fully leaves my body and I smile at her. Right.
Chapter 4. Tate. I lean against Onyx's bar as Reed orders 2 whiskeys from one of the masked bartenders. After talking business upstairs, he invited me to join him down here for a drink. On our way out of his office, I snagged a mask from the collection he keeps on hand. It's made of leather, dyed a red so dark it's almost black, and has devil horns that curl up over my forehead. I'm sure Mom would find it a fitting choice for me. Once we have our glasses in hand, we stand with our backs to the bar and survey the club. Onyx was Reed's dream, but he didn't have the capital to get it up and running on his own. At the time he approached me, he was merely an acquaintance of an acquaintance, but over drinks, he sold me on the idea of this place, a club that would fulfill all the desires of New York's richest and most powerful, while allowing them to stay out of the spotlight. A mass of bodies writhed on the dance floor before us, caught up in the thrill of anonymous hedonism. It's something I'm familiar with. As one of the richest men in the country, it's a feeling I've craved many times. The freedom that anonymity gives you can be intoxicating. I'm used to being the focus of most rooms I occupy. It can be a heady sensation, but sometimes being the center of all that attention leaves me feeling more alone than anything else. At least here, when I catch the attention of others, and I do, it's only because of the way I carry myself. It's curiosity about what pleasure might be found under my hands, not interest in my money or power. Reed takes a sip of his whiskey. "Are you sure you'll only stay for one drink?" he asks. "I know you said you were toning things down, but that doesn't mean you have to be celibate." He's right. There's no reason I shouldn't indulge. This is the one place I can guarantee that what I do won't end up splashed all over the tabloids. Except when I look around at all the women filling this place, most of whom would be ready and willing to do anything I ask of them. The anticipation that used to hit me like a shot of adrenaline isn't there. After restraining myself for so long, I should be dying to let loose. And yet, the interactions I used to seek out, emotionless fucking, mindless pleasure-seeking, leave me empty these days. I shake my head. Just this one, and I'll head home. As we sip our drinks, we talk more about the potential for Onyx's expansion, adding a few other cities to the list of possible future locations. And Reed asks about Genesis 1. He's one of our first buy-ins, so he has an interest in the project's development. I've almost finished my whiskey when my attention is caught by a woman stepping through the club's entrance. She's with a friend, but I barely notice the other woman. I'm too absorbed by the one in the short black dress and butterfly mask. She's frozen just inside the doorway, her head turning one way, then the other, like she might bolt back outside at any moment. It's glaringly obvious it's her first time here, but when her friend leans in and speaks to her, she smiles and appears to relax. She follows her friend to the bar, the hem of her dress brushing the tops of her toned thighs with every step. And for some reason, I can't tear my eyes away. They settle a little way down from where Reed and I are and order drinks. Then her dark-haired friend in the peacock mask leans in with a grin, and Butterfly tilts her head back, her fingertips slightly brushing her chest as she laughs. Something niggles at the back of my mind, as if the movement is almost familiar. I study her, taking her in from head to toe, getting momentarily distracted by the dip of her waist and the curve of her hips. But apart from that one gesture, nothing else triggers a sense of familiarity. Not from this distance, at least. Reed lets out a low chuckle. So, not one drink and then you're leaving? I drag my attention away from the woman, who's now sipping a cocktail as she looks out at the dance floor. I'm leaving, just admiring the view while I finish my drink. Just so you know, you're not the only one enjoying that view. He gestures with his almost empty glass toward two men farther down the bar, their heads turned toward the women as well. It shouldn't matter whether another man is considering making a move. I'm not staying, after all. And possessiveness over a woman, any woman, let alone one I haven't even spoken to or touched, is a foreign concept to me. There are more than enough fish in my sea that I don't have to worry about getting caught up with just one of them. But when the men leave their position and park themselves next to the pair, a strange tension grips me. The woman in the butterfly mask stiffens as the taller one rests his forearm on the bar behind her. Normally I wouldn't intervene, but considering how nervous she was when she arrived, I don't like that he might be making her feel more uncomfortable. I down the last of my drink and set it a little too hard on the bar. When I turn to Reed, his dark eyes behind his mask are full of amusement. You heading off now, then? He asks, one side of his mouth tipping up in a smirk. Something like that. I don't bother to say goodbye as I stride away. He knows exactly where I'm going, as evidenced by the laugh that follows me as I move toward the woman and her friend. I couldn't explain my motives if I tried. I'm just going with my instinct. And right now, my instinct is telling me that tonight, the woman in the butterfly mask is all mine.
Chapter 5. Violet. I angle away from the man in the Phantom of the Opera mask who has his arm on the bar behind me. He's standing so close, the fabric of his shirt brushes my bare shoulder blade. I'm trying not to make a big deal about it, because he hasn't actually done anything wrong, other than stand too close. And regardless of how normal this place appears, it's still a sex club. Getting physical quickly is probably normal here. It's just not normal for me.
First time?
He slides another inch closer, clearly not reading my body language. I give him a small, polite smile in return. That obvious? He laughs.
Fresh meat is easy to spot.
I recoil in response to his words, and this time he notices.
Sorry, bad joke. I just meant you have this whole baby deer thing going on. If you let me buy you a drink, I can help you get past that.
He tips his head down and runs his tongue over his lower lip as he rakes his gaze over my body. This time, it's a shudder that works its way through me. Being more forward here might be a thing, but there has to be a better way to do it than this. His demeanor isn't intense or aggressive, but whoever he is, and assuming he's a member here, there's a good chance he's someone. He has all the charm and tact of a gorilla. Anna intervenes, putting a hand on my forearm. Actually, we're just going to have a couple of drinks and a dance, relax, and have some fun out there, you know? Phantom's friend lifts his chin, clearly getting the hint.
Come on, men. Let's head to the back and catch some action. There's supposed to be a shibari demonstration happening in one of the rooms.
I have no idea what a shibari is, but I'm grateful that they're going. I don't want to be rude, though, so I smile at Phantom. Thanks, though. Enjoy the... I've forgotten what the other guy called it. Demonstration. I finish, a little lamely. Instead of moving away, he edges closer, making my hackles rise.
You could come with us. Shibari is...
He doesn't get to finish what he's saying because a man wearing a devil mask comes out of nowhere. He stops next to Phantom, practically looming over him, since he's several inches taller.
I think the ladies have made themselves clear.
His voice is low, but it's laced with steel. My gaze darts back and forth between him and the men we've been trying to let down easy. Phantom frowns.
I was just trying to be friendly. Then you should probably practice being friendly in the mirror, because what you're doing isn't it. Take the very polite hint you've been given and walk away.
Phantom looks at his buddy, then shakes his head.
No problem. We're leaving.
And without another word, they're gone. Now it's just Anna and me, and the man in the devil mask. He's tall, like I already noticed, and well-built. The way his impeccably tailored white dress shirt hugs his broad shoulders and chest leaves no doubt as to the presence of muscles beneath. He's not wearing a tie, and his top button is undone, revealing a small V of smooth, tanned skin. Out of nowhere, an image of pressing my lips against it flashes through my mind, and heat instantly smolders to life inside me. Shaking away the thought, I drag my attention back to his face. Or at least what I can see of it. A strong, smooth-shaven jaw and full lips with a seductive curve. In the dim light, the hair curling around his ears looks dark blonde, and his eyes, shadowed by the mask, appear to be a light brown. It's hard to tell. Regardless of their color, the amused gleam in them is unmistakable. The amusement is no doubt due to him having just caught me blatantly checking him out. I flush and avert my gaze. "Thanks for that," Anna says. I take in a steadying breath and focus on her to distract myself from the man standing in front of us and the way my pulse has started to race. She widens her eyes at me, silently urging me to talk to him. I guess she thinks this guy is a better option than the two he just scared off. Although a part of me wonders if he might not be more dangerous. Still, being polite doesn't have to lead to anything more, unless I want it to. I clear my throat, racking my brain for something to say. "Do you come here often?" I wince as soon as I say it. Could I have asked a more cliché question? Plus, I'm not sure I want to know his sex club attendance habits. I put up my hand. "Sorry, don't answer that." His laugh is low, seductive. How is it even possible for a laugh to be seductive?
Let's just say I'm not exactly fresh meat.
I wrinkle my nose under my mask. You heard that?
Unfortunately, Onyx can guarantee your physical safety while you're here, but it can't completely protect you from the idiots of the world.
We were just about to have another drink. Anna jumps in. Would you like to join us? Ugh, she's much better at this than me. I'm completely out of practice with flirting. The man in the devil mask diverts his intense focus from me to her, and I'm instantly hit by an unfamiliar pang of jealousy. Which is ridiculous. I don't know this guy, and he'd be beyond lucky to spend time with my best friend.
Only if you'll let me by,
he says. The smile Anna flashes has that little niggling worm of jealousy burrowing deeper. I turn toward the bar and force the emotion down. She's not trying to claim his attention. She's just being her friendly self. But she's so pretty. What man wouldn't be won over by her smile? There are plenty of other men here, though. If I want to flirt, or do more, I'm sure I can find someone. I'm pulled from that thought when a hand brushes my lower back. and then he's standing next to me. He bends his head and speaks into my ear, his warm breath on my neck making goosebumps erupt all over my body.
What can I get you?
Can he tell how my body is reacting to his proximity? Somehow the thought that he can leaves me feeling strangely exposed. I'd like a cosmopolitan. Thank you. With a nod, he turns to the bartender that's materialized in front of us. Anna presses close on my other side. "Oh my God," she whispers. "This guy is so hot. You have to go for it. If you don't at least kiss him, I'm going to cry. If you like him, you could..." The sharp shake of her head stops me in my tracks. "Even if I wanted to, it wouldn't matter. The guy's been laser-focused on you from the moment he walked up." My stomach twists into a knot. A man like this, a member of this club, probably expects a woman who's happy to throw caution to the wind and get down and dirty in one of the back rooms. And as hot as this guy is, I'm not sure I'm up for that. When a large hand appears in front of me holding my Cosmo, I take it and smile my thanks at him. He passes a Manhattan down the bar to Anna, then picks up his own glass of what looks like expensive whiskey. While he takes a sip and studies me over the rim, I frantically search my mind for an interesting topic to discuss. Being anonymous makes it way more difficult to have a conversation. No asking names, no talking about what we do for work. What the hell do we talk about? He doesn't seem to have the same concern, leaning his elbow on the bar and looking down at me with a hint of a smile on his face.
What brought you here tonight? If it's your first time, then something must have prompted you to come.
Well, and, my friend's membership is about to expire, and she asked if I wanted to come with her for her last visit. His smile grows slowly.
So you're just doing your friend a favor?
No, I mean, that's not the whole reason.
What are your other reasons, then? Because you don't strike me as the type of woman who spontaneously decides to visit a club like Onyx just because a friend needs company.
My shoulders stiffen. What type of woman does he think I am? A stick in the mud who spends all her time working at a coffee shop and worrying about malfunctioning espresso machines? Of course, that's accurate, but that's not who I want to be tonight. I raise my chin and stare him straight in the eye. I'm crossing it off my bucket list. The mask hides most of his expression, but the way he rolls his lips together makes me think I've amused him.
What exactly was on your list? Just a visit, or to actually partake?
His mouth twitches, his amusement clearer now. Irritated by his reaction, I'm forced to respond. I was going to see how I felt when I got here, check out some of the, My mind spins until I remember what Phantom and his friend mentioned. The demonstrations. I shrug, going for casual. See if something takes my fancy. A muffled noise comes from beside me. I've been so absorbed in this guy, I almost forgot the two of us weren't alone. But when I turn to Anna, she doesn't seem annoyed at all. In fact, from the cheesy grin she's wearing and the way her eyes bounce from me to the man at my side and back again, it looks like she wishes she had a bowl of popcorn. I wrinkle my nose at her, and although I doubt she can see it under my mask, she gives me a wink in return.
Really?
The man says. The disbelief in his tone makes it clear he knows I'm talking shit.
You were interested in seeing the Shibari demonstration, then? What about it appeals to you?
I should admit that I have no clue what Shibari is, and that I'm not planning to leave the relatively safe space of this open area. But his cocky attitude is needling me. I'm not normally easily riled up, but this man who doesn't even know me has figured out how to press buttons that haven't been pressed in years. I can't help but rise to the challenge. So I force my shoulders to relax and smile. No, Shibari doesn't interest me. I want to see what else might be available here. His hand, which has been resting casually on the bar next to my shoulder, moves, his forefinger brushing feather light against my skin, making my breath hitch.
You're not into role play?
Rope play? That's what shibari is? Rope play, as in being tied down? Or something else? I may have had a fantasy or two in my life about being tied down and taken, but then, who hasn't? I shake my head, deciding not to display my ignorance by probing for more information. Rope play is a little tame for my tastes. This time, Anna chokes, and the two of us turn to her. She bangs her fist on her chest. Sorry, swallowed my drink the wrong way. I glare at her, but she just grins at me.
So, something a little wilder than shibari.
The man muses, rubbing his jaw.
Let me guess, then, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. Okay?
I swallow back the nerves rising inside me and nod. I'm pretty sure I'm getting in way over my head with this conversation, but I won't back down now. He grins, his white teeth flashing in the dim light. Paired with the mask, it gives him an almost predatory appearance. Angling closer, he brings his lips to my ear.
How about spanking? Does that interest you? Do you want to be bent over while your ass is reddened?
When he pulls back, there's a devilish glint in his eyes. My cheeks flame, but I'm counting on the mask and the dark to hide my reaction from him. I shake my head. I'm not a child. I don't need to be disciplined. Now it's his thumb tracing small hypnotic circles over my upper arm. The contact is making my head hazier than it has any right to.
You're definitely not a child, and spanking is about far more than discipline,
he says.
But, moving on, what about voyeurism? Are you here to see someone get fucked? Do you want to stand in the audience and watch a woman with her legs spread and pussy on display, made to come for your entertainment?
My breaths are uneven, and I have to resist the urge to squirm at his words. None of my boyfriends have ever spoken to me like this, let alone a stranger. But I refuse to give him the satisfaction of knowing he's affecting me. I'd rather do, not watch, I say, keeping my tone as flippant as I can manage.
Really?
He almost purrs.
You're an exhibitionist, then? You want to be watched as you're made to orgasm over and over?
There's a throb between my legs that I'm doing my best to ignore, even as it grows more insistent. I can only shake my head.
No? Well, it's not for everyone.
He rubs his finger over his full bottom lip and tilts his head as if he's thinking.
How about breath play?
What the hell is breath play? All I can do is blink at him in response. One corner of his mouth kicks up.
Do you like the idea of giving control of your breath to another person while being fucked? Allowing them to cut off your oxygen until you're dizzy with pleasure and need. Is that what you're looking for here, butterfly?
My throat goes dry. I'm going to have to tap out. I don't know what I was thinking taking part in this game. And a game is exactly what it is. He knows I have no idea what I'm talking about, and he's laughing at me. I release a ragged breath. Fine, I concede. I don't plan to partake in anything like that. I just wanted a break from real life for a night. I wanted to get away from myself, and this seemed like a good way to do it. But I doubt I'd be comfortable with the stuff that goes on back there. I have no clue what shibari is or breath play. And I'm probably incredibly naive compared to you and everyone else here. Happy? I cross my arms, annoyed that I was so easily caught out and by my slightly pouty reaction to that fact. What is it about this guy that makes my temper flare at the same time as my libido? His eyes are still intent on mine, and a spark of excitement ignites in my belly. Anna is the one to break this simmering tension. You know, I think I might go and dance. A confusing mix of relief and disappointment swirls inside me as I turn to her, ready to join her on the dance floor. but she stops me with a hand around my wrist. On my own. When I open my mouth to protest, a big shit-eating smile grows on her face. Don't forget about stress relief, babe. That's the other reason you came, right? She gives me a quick hug, lowering her voice so only I can hear her. Ditch him and come get me if he's an asshole, okay? Otherwise, have some fun. Remember, it's just one night. Then she winks as she spins away from me. I'm going to find someone to shake my ass with. I watch her go, then, almost reluctantly, turn back to the man in the mask. Not because I wish I'd gone with Anna, but because my pulse is hammering in my throat, and there's still that unfamiliar hum in my veins. Although this interaction has me on edge, I actually feel alive for the first time in a long while. And there's a part of me that really wants to find out how far this could go, be it another drink, a kiss, or something more. He's still watching me. When I wet my lips, his focus dips and he tracks the movement.
Stress relief?
He asks, his voice softer.
Are you stressed, butterfly?
I let out a little laugh, not sure how convincing it is. The last few months have been a little rough, that's all. Longer than that, but I doubt he's interested in the details.
So that's why you're here, to relieve some of that stress.
I roll my lips together and consider how to answer that question. I told you, I came because my friend's membership is running out, and because I needed a break, to have fun for a night. Then I let out a breath and focus on that little triangle of skin at the base of his throat, rather than his eyes, when I concede. And, yes, to relieve some stress, if that's what ends up happening. The corners of his mouth curl up, drawing my attention back to his face.
I've been told relieving stress is one of my greatest skills.
An excited little shiver darts up my spine. Is that so? He dips his chin, his mouth still curved up. A mouth that I'm suddenly staring at, wondering how it would feel on mine. Oh, God. Am I crazy for considering doing this? Is he even offering what I think he is? Or am I getting ahead of myself? I don't know how to ask or how to proceed from here. I raise my glass, desperate to ease my suddenly dry throat, only to discover it's nearly empty. I drain it a little too eagerly, then lick the remnants of the sweetly tart liquid from my lips. Even in the low light, the way his gaze heats is visible. He takes the empty glass from me and places it on the bar. Then he gently slips his big hand under my chin and tilts my face up. He studies what he can see of it, his thumb drifting along my jaw. Tingles follow in its wake.
Come and sit with me,
he says. My stomach falls. This time it's definitely disappointment I'm feeling. You want to sit down? The grin he gives me this time is almost wicked.
I want to get to know you better.
Isn't the whole point of this place not to know each other?
I don't need to know your name or where you work. I don't even need to know how old you are, since you wouldn't be here if you were underage. What I need to know is how I can help you relax. What will make those gorgeous lips part for me? What will make your pulse flutter at the base of your throat and...
He leans forward until his mouth hovers just over mine.
What's going to make that pretty pussy of yours wet?
My breath stalls, even as his words send desire flooding through me. God, I don't know how this happened so quickly, but I can't deny that his confidence is incredibly appealing. And I'm intrigued by what he's offering. It's been a long time since I've been touched with any kind of intimacy. Okay, I say before I can second-guess myself.
Okay.
I let out a breath. Okay, let's sit. Chapter 6. Violet. I expect him to smile in satisfaction, but he doesn't. Instead, his big body almost seems to draw tight. Then he's stepping into me and sliding his hand around to circle the back of my neck. The possessive hold has me sucking in a breath as my nipples tighten and rasp against the thin material of my dress. He notices my reaction. Of course he does. And that's when he finally smiles. Although it's more of a primal baring of teeth than anything else. It sends a pulse of need through me.
Come on, beautiful.
He glides his hand down my spine and settles it at my lower back, then guides me through the club to a couch in one of the darkest corners. He keeps me in front of him, so I'll be closest to the wall once we sit. But before I can, he gently grasps my wrist to stop me and brushes the hair hanging loose down my spine to the side. When I glance over my shoulder, I find him focused on my back. With a ghost of a smile, he lightly traces my butterfly tattoo with his finger, causing every one of my nerve endings to crackle into life. Then, without commenting, he lets me go. My shaky legs carry me the remaining step, and I manage to get my butt on the seat without them giving out on me. He sits next to me, his knee close to mine. Here in this dim corner, just the two of us, there's nothing to distract me from him, from the angle of his jaw, the seductive curve of his lips. Even his scent invades my senses. He smells too good. Fresh, like I imagine a forest at night might smell. It fills my head, triggering a wild impulse inside me, and I'm suddenly tempted to crawl into his lap, just so I can experience his mouth against mine. Maybe it's because of the mask, the anonymity it provides, or maybe it's the darkness and the low-pulsing beat of the music. Whatever the reason, I've never been so aroused with so little physical contact before. There's no doubt in my mind that this man, whoever he is, knows exactly how to make a woman feel good. He exudes confidence. It's in every line of his body, the way he talks, the way he moves. And I'm woefully unprepared for dealing with him. He leans back and stretches his arm out along the back of the seat so it's brushing my shoulders.
And why have the last few months been so difficult?
I frown, a hint of the worry I can never quite seem to shake these days, settling in my chest. You really want to know? His mouth quirks up.
That's generally why I ask questions.
I pull my bottom lip between my teeth as I consider the best way to summarize the events of the last several months. Work has been difficult. I offer him a faint smile. And before that, there was a bad breakup. I don't mention Dad's death. It seems wrong to talk about that, considering where I am. He pushes my hair behind my shoulder, his fingers brushing against my neck.
I'm sorry to hear that. Can you quit your job? Find a better one?
I co-own a business, so no, quitting isn't an option. He nods, his fingertips now running softly along my skin, back and forth, making it hard for me to think.
And the breakup?
I swallow past the residual anxiety that always hits when I think about Eric, then shrug as casually as I can. Let's just say he wasn't who I thought he was. His eyes are dark as he watches me, and I'm hit by a sudden surge of déjà vu, like someone's looked at me that way before. I blink, then the feeling dissipates.
Did he break your heart?
He asks, his voice low. That question is the last I was expecting him to ask. I was under the impression that this conversation was leading to something physical, and now he's asking me whether Eric broke my heart? Despite my confusion, I answer him. I don't think I loved him, so I can't say he broke my heart in that way. But he hurt me, made me feel bad about myself. When I discovered he was cheating, it was an awakening more than anything. But I don't want to think about just how badly Eric had fooled me. I don't want to think about Eric at all. So I take a deep breath, square my shoulders, and look him straight in the eye. I'm not here trying to get over a broken heart, if that's why you're asking. I already told you, there are lots of reasons I'm here, but that isn't one of them. There's a long beat of silence as we study one another. Even the hypnotic pulse of the music seems to fade into the background. A muscle ticks in his jaw, and I shift on the couch, nerves fluttering in my stomach under the intensity of his scrutiny. Maybe he wasn't expecting such a thorough answer. In hindsight, I should have just said no and left it at that. I glanced toward the dance floor. Should I call my first foray into breaking out of my comfort zone a bust and go hide in the crowd with Anna? I'm surprised when he threads his fingers through my hair, bringing my attention firmly back to him. The smile that curves his lips is as devilish as his mask.
That's good, because if I'm going to relieve some of your stress tonight, I don't want your mind on somebody else.
My mouth is suddenly dry again. This man has me completely off kilter, and it's kind of exhilarating. I may be filled with nerves, but I can't ignore the desire and anticipation building inside me. I wet my lips, and his fingers tighten in my hair in response. Are we going out there? I whisper, glancing at the double doors and the shadowy corridor beyond. He tilts his head to one side, and I do my best to breathe through the apprehension that's welling up inside me at the idea of taking part in some rope play or spanking, at the possibility that he might want something else entirely, something even more intimidating.
I don't think you're ready for that,
he says. Some of the tension leaves my muscles. Then what?
I'm going to take care of you right here.
My pulse jolts, and I scan the darkened club. Here? He tugs lightly on my hair, bringing my attention back to him.
If anyone looks, it's because they like what they see. But I'll make sure they don't see much. I promise.
My heart is trying to beat its way out of my chest. Flashes of the scenes I witnessed when Anna and I arrived hit me. While it was obvious what those couples were doing, I didn't really see all that much. And the people involved were unrecognizable anyway. Just like I'm unrecognizable right now. And tucked away in a corner like this, well... My mind works overtime, uncertainty warring with arousal. He watches me for a moment, then leans in close.
I'll take care of you tonight, Butterfly. You just need to tell me yes or no. Chapter 7. Tate. The uncertainty in her pretty blue eyes morphs into desire. She's nervous. That's understandable. This is obviously not her scene, but she came here tonight for a reason, and from the moment she walked in, I wanted to be the one to give her what she needs. I haven't felt this much desire for a woman in a long time, and I can't even put my finger on the reason. From the little I can see of her face, she's pretty, probably even beautiful, and her body in that little dress is mouth-watering. But that's not what it is. I've been with plenty of gorgeous women who haven't caught my interest the way she has. Most of the women I fuck know exactly what I'm capable of giving them and aren't afraid to ask me for it. It's always made things easy. I give them what they want and take what I want. Then we both walk away satisfied. No seeking a connection, no looking back. That's how it's always been. That's how I've always needed it to be. But the easy gratification I used to seek has lost its appeal. Maybe that's why she's having such an effect on me. Because this isn't about my gratification. This is all about her. About the stubborn tilt to her chin and the fire that flashed in her eyes when she tried to convince me she knew what she wanted. About the way she almost forgets to breathe when I touch her, and the trust she's giving me, just by sitting next to me here. That might be what I'm craving most of all, her trust. She's allowing herself to be vulnerable with me, truly vulnerable. It's a rare thing in the world I live in, where every person I encounter is vying for power, even when it comes to sex. Trust may be an essential part of what goes on in this club, but even that is given within boundaries, tailored by rules put in place to make sure it's not abused. The people who come here to let go of their inhibitions know what they're signing up for when they walk through the door. But this woman? She doesn't know what she wants or what she needs. So she has no idea what rules and boundaries to set. I want to be the one she takes that leap of faith with, the one she trusts with her body and her pleasure. I want her to trust that I'll push her to the edge of her comfort zone, but not past it. Not this time, anyway. I shake that odd thought away, because there will only be this one time. I'll keep her safe and give her what she needs, then send her on her way. That will be it. No looking back for either of us. Yes or no, Butterfly? I prompt her again, itching to touch her, but I won't until she decides. Her throat bobs in a swallow, and then she tips that stubborn little chin up.
Yes.
Will I see you here again?
The gravel in his voice surprises me. His question surprises me. Do you want to see me here again? He brushes his thumb across my bottom lip, his head dipping closer.
I'd say this was a teaser, wouldn't you? I'd like to experience more. I'd definitely like another taste of you.
Is he talking about kissing me or other things? The thought of either has my pulse careening into my throat. Could I come back and do this with him again? Biting my lip, I search his gaze. But then it hits me, and disappointment settles heavily in my chest. I can't come back. I'm only here as a guest. He gives an easy shrug of his broad shoulders.
I'll organize a membership for you.
I stare at him blankly. Anna told me how much memberships cost, and they're ridiculously expensive. Richard paid for hers, but he's a millionaire, and casual or not, they'd been seeing each other for months. This man is a stranger, and, well, I guess he must be rich, since that's the type of person this place specifically caters to. But paying that kind of exorbitant fee for a woman he's never met before? That makes no sense. I shake my head. Why would you do that? You don't even know me. One corner of his mouth kicks up in a smile that's just short of a smirk.
If you come back next Friday, then I will know you.
My mind spins at the prospect. I'm not sure. I mean, my friend might not want to come, and I don't know if I should.
Butterfly.
He interrupts my nervous rambling.
I'd like to see you here again next week. I'm prepared to pay for a membership to make it possible, but it's up to you if you use it or not.
Why? Why would he spend all that money on the off chance that I'll come back? That's way too expensive a risk to take. The sinful smile that grows across his face makes my stomach flip over.
Some risks are worth the price.
Right. I don't know what else to say. I'm at a loss for how to handle this situation. He removes his hands from my thighs and leans back against the couch. My legs are still shaky from the intensity of my orgasm as I climb off his lap, and I self-consciously brush my skirt down over my thighs, making sure I'm covered. which is probably pointless considering what I just did in a public place, but I won't let myself dwell on that right now. I take a step back as he stands, reminded once again of how much taller than me he is. With my chin tipped up so I can take in the height of him, I find myself wishing I could remove his mask and see what he looks like underneath it. Not that it should matter, but I can't help but want to put a face to his voice, and his body, and his touch.
Let me help you find your friend,
he says. I shake my head, my chest suddenly too tight. I need a moment to breathe, to wrap my mind around what we just did. I'll be fine. She's probably dancing or at the bar. She wouldn't go anywhere else without letting me know. His lips flatten, but he doesn't argue. Okay. I grind to a halt because what the hell do I say now? How do you thank someone for giving you an orgasm in the middle of a sex club? I really enjoyed... it was nice to... The way he chuckles, low and deep, sends a wave of heat through my whole body.
It was definitely my pleasure.
I nod jerkily, my smile feeling a little manic. Thank you, I finally force out, hoping he can hear the sincerity in my voice. Letting out a breath, I turn and make my way through the crowd, barely registering the bodies moving together in my periphery as I try to process everything that's happened tonight. Anna suddenly pops up in front of me, shooting my heart into overdrive and making me slap a hand to my chest. She grins broadly as she loops her arm through mine. So, did Mr. Tall, Muscular, and Devilish rock your world? I laugh, fighting the temptation to glance over my shoulder to see if I can catch another glimpse of him. You could say that. She lets out a little squeal and hugs me as she steers me toward the exit. I'm so happy for you. I kept an eye on you at the start to make sure you were okay, but once it looked like you were starting to enjoy yourself, I groan, my skin flaring hot again. I enjoyed a nice flirtatious conversation with a man with a sexy accent at the bar. I'm glad you had fun while I was also having fun. I follow her out the door and into the long black corridor, already looking forward to getting home and taking this mask off. The soft leather is comfortable, but it's still a little stifling, especially after my recent exertions. The woman who admitted us is still standing behind the desk, watching us approach with a smile. When we reach her, Anna holds her arm out and the woman scans her bracelet, then removes it, reminding us that our accounts will be charged for our drinks. When it's my turn, she scans my bracelet. But when the computer beeps in response, she frowns at the screen in concentration. A couple of key taps later, there's a whirring sound from under the desk. With a small smile directed at me, she reaches down, then places an item on the counter and pushes it toward me. You must have made quite an impression, she says. I pick up the black card, still warm from the machine that just produced it. Surely it can't be what I think it is. I half expected him to be all talk. And even if he wasn't, I never would have thought he'd work so quickly. He bought you a membership? Beside me, Anna's eyebrows almost reach her hairline. The woman places a small machine on the counter between us. If you could place your thumb on the screen, she directs. I do as she asks, and when the scanner is finished doing its thing, she puts it away again and turns back to her computer. With a few keystrokes, she gives me another smile. All set. Have a wonderful night. Thank you. You too. Avoiding Anna's gaze, I turn and head toward the door we stepped through what feels like forever ago. She catches up to me outside, lacing her arm through mine. You want to tell me what just happened? When I glance at her, the grin on her face stretches from ear to ear. I'm not sure I could even explain it to myself, but maybe she can help me make sense of it and decide what I should do with the card that's doing its best to burn a hole in my hand. I'll tell you about it on the way home.
Chapter 9. Tate. I stride into Cole's office and settle into one of the two deep leather chairs in front of his desk. I've got the latest Genesis 1 numbers. Good, he says, looking up from his computer. Roman should be here in a moment. This is our regular Monday morning update meeting. Typically we hold it in Roman's office, but since he's having some upgrades made to his IT system, Cole volunteered to host. I hum to myself as I tap my fingers on the arm of the chair and take in the New York cityscape outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. When I glance back over at Cole, his dark brows are arched high. You're in a good mood this morning. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm always in a good mood. His blue eyes narrow. Luckily, he's distracted from probing further when Roman enters. My eldest brother sits down in the chair next to me, braces his elbows on his knees, and leans forward. So, what are the numbers telling us? There's no preamble. As always, he gets straight down to business. We're on track, I tell him. Almost 50% of apartments have been sold already. And what about the penthouses? One sold with strong interest in a second. I think it will go through. Cole taps his pen on the desk, a frown on his face. It would be good if we can get 2 or even 3 sold before we break ground. We can hold off on the last one to capitalize on the higher market value when construction is almost complete. But having a minimum of 2 confirmed sales will provide the proof of concept we need. I nod. Ideally, we'll have investors clamoring to jump on board when we eventually take the concept for Genesis 1 global. We have a chance to corner a niche in a growing international market, particularly in Europe, where high-rises are traditionally renter-dominated. If we make an early move, the King Group can establish itself as leaders in the luxury high-rise sector. Our UK office is about to wrap up a feasibility study for construction of a Genesis 1 in London. The team's working on it. We're already looking at expanding our usual marketing channels. Good. Roman still has his elbows planted on his knees, his focus fixed on the carpet in front of him. Will you have an updated phased marketing plan available soon? By the end of the week. He grunts his acknowledgement, and we move on to other issues, including a minor change to the construction time frame due to a holdup with one of our planning permissions. As we talk, I'm mostly on autopilot, thinking about what Cole said when I walked in. He's right. I am in a good mood. Have been since Friday night. And, if asked why, I don't know if I could explain it. Having an unexpected taste of a beautiful woman, then walking away with blue fucking balls, isn't something I ever thought would put a smile on my face. But witnessing her come apart on my lap like that, all wide-eyed behind her mask, plump lips parted as she made those sexy little gasps and whimpers, had been incredibly satisfying. Fuck. Even now, the memory has my dick swelling in my pants. Not a reaction that typically happens when I'm sitting in my brother's office. As soon as she walked away that night, I found Matt, the bar manager, and gave him her bracelet number. All it took was a couple of taps on the screen of his tablet, and the concierge was alerted to her change in status. Considering I wasn't even planning to be with anyone at the club that night, I'm far more invested in seeing her again than I should be. I refuse to spend too long second-guessing myself, though. One more night with her, just to have my fill, and I'll walk away like I always do. Then she'll have her membership, and she can do whatever she wants, with whoever she wants, for a whole year. Are you even listening? Roman asks. No, but I give him a lazy smile. Of course. You were telling me what an amazing job I'm doing. Behind his desk, Cole snorts. Something like that. He tilts his head, a crease forming between his brows as he scrutinizes me. What's going on with you? I shake my head. Nothing. There's nothing going on with me. Cole's right. I'm distracted. And that's not good for any of us right now. Leaning forward in my seat, I mimic Roman and brace my elbows on my knees. I'm here. Let's get this done. With one more skeptical look, Cole taps on his computer and focuses on the screen. Right. Let's talk amenities. By the time we wrap up an hour later, it's past lunchtime. I could get my PA Sophie to order in or pick something up, but since I have a rare break between meetings, now seems like as good a time as any to catch up with my college buddy. I take the elevator down to the 40th floor, where the lawyer's offices are located. If I know Mark, he hasn't had lunch yet either. It's been a while since we've spent any time together. Our jobs keep us both busy. Not to mention that he's been with the same woman for the last year, so our occasional post-work, alcohol-fueled catch-ups have dwindled. I find him in his office as usual. His door is open, and when I walk in, his serious expression lightens into a grin. "To what do I owe the pleasure of a visit from on high?" We all know the pleasure is dubious at best, I say, dropping onto the small sofa in the corner of his office. "Feel like grabbing lunch?" He turns in his chair, his brows rising. "Taking a break for once?" Hey, a man's got to eat occasionally. With a smirk, he leans back, crossing his ankle over his knee. "That's what I've heard. Not sure I believe it, though." I laugh. Mark's almost as much of a workaholic as Roman. I've known him since we were roommates at Harvard. The guy was there on a scholarship and busted his ass every day. I respected that about him, even if I was more inclined to enjoy the full range of college experiences. But on occasion, he'd take time off from studying and we'd get drunk together. I've confided in Mark in a way that I haven't with anyone else. We'd share a bottle of whiskey and he'd talk about losing his mom when he and his sister were kids and how hard his dad worked raising them on his own. I'd tell him about my family, about how I was a part of it, but not really a part of it. I skirted the truth, even then, but he knew enough about my family's dysfunction that I joked that I'd have to hire him as a lawyer so all my secrets would be covered by attorney-client privilege. And as soon as he passed the bar, I hired him to work for the King Group. "I was planning to go to the coffee shop and see Violet," he says, glancing at his watch. "You want to come along and grab something to eat?" Violet's back in New York? The last I'd heard, Mark's little sister was living in Maine, though I suppose that was a year or so ago. He stands and grabs his suit jacket off the hook on the back of his door. "Yeah, didn't I mention it?" I stand too. "No, what's she doing now?" "She came back to take over managing Brew after the previous manager screwed things up." I grin as an image of Violet forms in my mind. I haven't seen her in years, not since Mark and I graduated. While we were in college, she would visit him now and then and stay the night at the apartment we shared. The thing I remember most about her, apart from her fresh-faced prettiness that was hard not to notice, even if she was my roommate's little sister, was that she was not impressed with me at all. Granted, our first meeting didn't go as intended. I'd forgotten she would be visiting, and I'd come back late after a night of partying, and not alone. Mark, being the caring big brother he is, had let his sister have his bedroom while he slept on the couch. Unfortunately, his bedroom shared a wall with mine, so before even meeting me, Violet was subjected to the high-pitched screams of a woman begging me to fuck her hard. Not my finest moment, I admit, and the horrified expression she couldn't hide when I walked into the kitchen the next morning, half naked with not one but two women in tow, told me exactly what she thought of me. Of course, the only reason I'd been drunk enough to forget about her visit and to end up with two women in my bed was because of the news I'd received that morning. But since I hadn't told anyone about it, not Mark, not my brothers, and definitely not my parents, I wouldn't use it to justify myself to a woman I didn't even know. I did try to work my way back into her good graces, considering she was my friend's sister, but she proved to be immune to my charm. And, after a while, I realized I enjoyed the way she turned her nose up at me. So much so that after that discovery, I made a point of being extra cocky when she visited, just so I could see the sparks flaring in her eyes when I got under her skin. Immature, maybe, but strangely addictive nonetheless. After all these years, will she still look at me the same way? The possibility is more appealing than it should be. "How's the coffee shop doing?" I ask as we make our way to the elevator. He hesitates for a moment, his brows pulling together. "Violet's still working on building up the customer base again. I'm hoping things are improving. She's stretched pretty thin right now, physically and financially." I stop short and regard him with surprise. "You're hoping? I thought you'd be keeping a close eye on her." He winces and his shoulders tense. "I'm trying very hard not to be that guy. I think half the reason she went to college out of state was because Dad and I were a little overprotective while she was growing up. Now that she's back, I don't want her to think I don't believe she's capable." "So you're not helping out at all?" The sigh he lets out is one of defeat. She's pretty adamant about doing this on her own. She's determined to prove she can handle it without her big brother waiting in the wings to bail her out. He grimaces. Not that I can do much anyway. The next step is probably selling, unfortunately. If finances are an issue, has she considered getting a loan? We did discuss it, but even if we could get a loan, Violet doesn't want to saddle the shop with more debt. She said it would be like trying to put out fire with gasoline. But she's smart and determined, and she's a hard worker. There's a mixture of pride and concern on his face. There's no reason she can't bring the coffee shop back to its previous standing on her own. I nod, leaving it there. He's overprotective, just like he said. I knew it the first time he mentioned his sister. But from what I recall, their dad left the place to both of them. It seems strange to me that he wouldn't at least look over the coffee shop's numbers. With a small shake of my head, I dismiss my thoughts. I don't know what it's like to have a sister, and I've never been close enough with another person to feel the need to protect them. Not as an adult, anyway. I'm the last person who should be questioning him. Once we're settled in my town car, Mark gives directions to my driver, Jeremy. 20 minutes later, he drops us off outside a small coffee shop in Brooklyn. Most of the front window is covered in a sign that reads, True Brew in large, blue, outdated script. Two young women clutching to-go cups step outside as Mark and I approach. Their eyes widen as they pass. Then they hunch close, whispering and giggling as they scurry down the sidewalk. Mark smirks at me over his shoulder. "You've still got it, old man," he says. I shake my head. "You're 2 months older than me, asshole." The bell above the door jangles as he opens it, and I follow him inside. It takes a moment to adjust to the dimmer lighting, but when I do, I scan the shop. There's a quiet murmur of conversation, but though there are a few people seated around the compact space, more tables are empty than full. Standing behind the counter is a young, dark-haired man wearing a smile. "Hey, Mark. Good to see you." "Hi, Jared." Mark steps closer and chats with him, but I tune out their small talk and take in the interior of the coffee shop more thoroughly. The shop isn't dirty or falling apart. Not at all. It's actually spotless. It's obvious that Violet and her staff take pride in keeping everything clean. But the signage is faded and out of date. The tables and chairs are mismatched, and not in the quirky way some places pull off. Even the pastry cabinet looks a little bare and sad. "Violet's in the back," Jared says, drawing my attention to their conversation. "I'll get her for you. You want something while you wait?" We both order a coffee, then Jared disappears through the door which presumably leads to the kitchen, while Mark and I take a seat at a table near the back. Before I have a chance to do more than pick up the menu, the door swings back open, and Violet rushes out, a wide smile on her face aimed directly at Mark. I take a moment to look her over, from the hair piled on top of her head in a messy bun, the honey-brown hue a little darker than when I last saw her, if I'm not mistaken, to her black tank top and black denim cutoffs. Even her chucks and the little apron tied around her slender waist are black. In those shorts, her smooth tan legs look a mile long. The pretty, slightly awkward 21-year-old woman I remember from years ago has morphed into a gorgeous-as-fuck woman. As she emerges from behind the counter, her eyes find me. Her smile freezes for a split second before she glances away. It's back again in all its brilliance as she approaches and gives her brother a hug. I rub my hand over my mouth to hide my smile. Apparently, she still hasn't forgiven or forgotten. Standing, I force her to acknowledge my presence. Those clear blue eyes finally turn my way, giving my pulse a strange jolt.
"Tate."
"Violet," I say. "It's been a long time." Her full lips press together, then she tilts her head to the side and gives me a too sweet smile.
"Has it? I hadn't noticed."
The attitude sends a familiar kick of excitement through me. I chuckle. So, it's safe to say absence doesn't make the heart grow fonder. She wrinkles her nose and turns back to her brother, dismissing me and my teasing.
"Are you eating, or did you come to check up on me?"
The words are casual, even her tone for the most part, but there's a thread of tension underlying both. Interesting. Maybe she really does want Mark to give her space. "Tate wanted to grab lunch, and I haven't seen you in a few weeks," he says. "I thought we'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone." The hint of tension I swear I picked up on melts away. Now she just looks guilty.
I'm sorry I haven't visited more. By the time I get home, I'm so tired I just want to stay in, read a good book, and have a glass of wine. I've been crashing early most nights, but I'll make more of an effort, I promise.
She wraps her arms around his waist and squeezes. Their easy affection tightens my chest. I've never had that type of relationship with anyone. Shit, I can't even remember the last time I hugged someone. Violet releases her brother and smiles up at him.
You want your usual?
When he nods, she glances back at me, though she focuses somewhere around the knot of my tie, rather than meeting my eye.
Are you eating too?
There's no missing how her tone flattens when she addresses me. I can't wait to try what you're serving up. That gets her to focus on my face. I grin, and in response, she narrows her eyes, probably sifting through my words to find a hidden meaning. What do you recommend? I ask. She presses her lips together, then lets out a breath.
We don't have a large menu at the moment.
Her eyes flash with what might be embarrassment. Not that she has any reason to be ashamed. Considering what Mark said about her working to get this place back on its feet, having a small menu makes good business sense.
But the grilled chicken avocado wrap is really good.
She continues.
And the ham and cheese panini is always popular.
I'll have the wrap, thanks. She nods again, then turns to head back to the kitchen. Something catches my eye as she goes, and the sight sends ice sliding into my bloodstream. Because there, on one shoulder blade, is a small, blue butterfly. I pull in a long breath through my nose. It must be a coincidence. Butterfly tattoos aren't exactly rare. She's gone too fast for me to get a good look, but my heart hammers against my ribs anyway. Because my body, if not my head, is sure of what I just saw. I traced over those delicate blue wings only a few nights ago. I can still feel her silky skin under my fingers. Fingers that then buried themselves in her tight little pussy and fucked her until she came all over them. A lance of guilt spears through me, and my gaze shoots straight to Mark, who's wearing a proud grin on his face. Shit. I have to fight the urge to wince as I imagine how he'd react if he knew what I'd done to his sister. Possibly done. There's no point in getting ahead of myself. I need to get a closer look. Mark and I sit back down, and I focus on slowing my racing pulse while trying to concentrate on what he's saying. But it's pointless. My mind is filled with images and memories from last Friday night as I work to reconcile the woman who was writhing on my lap with the one who was just standing in front of me, expression full of familiar disdain. I drum my fingers on the table as I wait for Violet to return with our food, my attention constantly drawn back to the kitchen door. Jared is back behind the counter, handling the few customers that trickle in, while a young blonde woman serves the seated ones. When she drops her coffees off, I thank her absently. I only snap out of my distraction when I take a sip of the hot beverage. The instant I register the taste, my eyebrows shoot up. Across from me, Mark chuckles. Good, huh? I take another sip and give a low hum. Very good. The beans are all sourced from small, sustainable farms. Costs more, but it's worth it. Ethically and for the taste. I'd agree with that. This time, when I take a sip, I close my eyes to savor the flavor. With coffee that tastes like this, why isn't this place packed? He sighs. It used to be. But like I mentioned, I made a mistake with the previous manager. He had great referrals, but he was used to working for large franchises, not small, community-focused shops. I should have been keeping a better eye on things, but we've been keeping you busy. He shrugs. It's not a good excuse for dropping the ball, but it's the only one I've got. Not worth suing, I suppose. He shakes his head. His actions wouldn't be considered gross negligence or deliberate misconduct. It was my mistake anyway, hiring someone who didn't understand Dad's vision for the shop. Grief shadows his expression for a moment before he shakes it off. He always wanted it to be a community cornerstone, where every cup served not only tasted amazing, but represented a commitment to ethical sourcing. Unfortunately, Violet was out of state, and I didn't check in enough to notice all the little changes the manager was making. He sighs. I should have realized sooner, but it was hard, coming back here with Dad gone, you know? I kind of avoided it. He studies his coffee cup for a long moment, but when he looks back up again, he's smiling. Violet will do it. I have no doubt. He has so much belief in his sister. It's obvious in his every word and in the way he looks at her. In my whole life, has anyone ever had even half that belief in me? My thoughts are interrupted by the kitchen door swinging open and Violet re-emerging with our meals. I watch her every move as she makes her way toward us. The club was dark, but from what I can tell, the color of her hair and eyes matches the woman I was with. I take in the rest of her, breasts, hips, legs. The shape of her matches too. Fuck, the shape of her. A jolt of arousal hits me with so much force that I inhale sharply. I am bombarded with the mental images of my hands on her body, my fingers inside her. I will the hot rush of lust spreading through me to dissipate as she places our plates in front of us. I still don't know for sure it's her, not 100%. I'm still studying her, cataloging the angle of her jaw and the curve of her lips, comparing what I see to what I remember, when she says,
Is there something wrong with the food?
Her question snaps me out of my thoughts. It's fine, I say, picking up the wrap in front of me and taking a large bite. It tastes as good as it looks, but I don't get a chance to tell her that, because before I can swallow, she aims a final warm smile at her brother and a tight-lipped one at me and heads back to the counter. Are you okay? Mark asks as I track her retreating form. There's no doubt in my mind now. It's exactly the same tattoo in exactly the same position. Yeah, all good. Looks like Violet's all grown up. What the fuck kind of observation is that? I should be engaging him in some kind of work-related conversation, then getting the hell out of here, not focusing on his sister. Mark frowns, watching me a little too intently, as if he can sense a deeper meaning he won't like behind my words. It's not like she was a kid the last time you saw her. No, she wasn't. I busy myself with my wrap so I can avoid his gaze. She just looks different. Yeah. He sighs, glancing back at the counter where she's talking to Jared. She had a rough time after Dad died. Withdrew a bit. I'm glad she's back in New York. I was worried about her for a while. It's good that she has you. I'm only half listening, because I'm distracted by the way Jared is smiling down at her. He touches her arm, and she laughs up at him, as if he's made a joke, the dimple in her left cheek flashing. Then she turns to head to the kitchen. I narrow my eyes as he watches her go. Is he looking at her curvy ass in those little shorts as she walks away? As he turns back to the counter, his attention snags on me. Surprise flashes across his features before his jaw tightens and he returns my stare. I get the feeling he's sizing me up the same way I'm doing to him. I don't know why the thought of there being something between this guy and Violet bothers me. From the little she told me at Onyx, it doesn't sound like that's the case. Not at the moment, anyway. Regardless, I don't have a claim on her. And, more importantly, I shouldn't care. Jared finally looks away, and I turn back to Mark and my lunch. This time, I deliberately steer the conversation away from his sister and back to work. But, as hard as I try, I can't stop replaying that night in my head. Suddenly, Violet's no longer my college friend's little sister, who I enjoy riling up way too much. She's the sexy as hell woman I made come in the middle of the club. And I bought a membership for her. Invited her back. Biting back a groan, I scrub my hand over my mouth. Now that I know it's her, I can't return. She'll never forgive me for what I did, even if I didn't know it was her at the time. Compounding the issue by doubling down would probably be grounds for my murder if she ever found out. The only logical solution is to avoid Onyx for a while. Not that I've been there much lately, but still. Though if she does turn up looking for me this weekend and I'm not there, she could end up on some other man's lap, or under him. Unbidden, my fingers clench into a fist. With a deep breath in, I force them to uncurl. She's a grown woman. As much as I don't like the idea, if she wants to indulge with another man at Onyx, she has every right. I don't linger after we finish our meals. While Mark says goodbye to Violet, I don't even throw a smart-ass comment her way. I merely tip my head at her. The closed-mouth smile she gives me in return is the reinforcement I need. I'm doing exactly the right thing by not dragging out this mistake. But even as Mark and I return to the office, I can't stop thinking about the way she felt as she moved against me. The heat of her breath on my skin and the press of her lips to my neck. Then I'm hit with a wholly different vision. Violet moving over another man. Her breath on his skin. Her lips on his neck. Fuck.
Chapter 10. Violet. I'm proud of you. Anna is lying stomach down on my bed, knees bent, and her bare feet kicking back and forth in the air over her ass. Shaking my head, I suppress a smile as I smooth down my sparkly blue dress. Proud of what? That I'm apparently too horny for my own good, so I'm hoping a masked stranger might give me my second man-supplied orgasm in over a year? Yes, exactly. She pushes herself up to sitting and swings her legs over the edge of the bed. Eric was an asshole who manipulated you and abused your trust. You needed time to get past that. But now you're ready to take back control of your life. What better way than to have some anonymous sexy times with a hot, rich stranger? No pressure, no expectations, just fun. And hopefully many, many orgasms. This time I can't stop the grin that tugs at my lips. Well, when you put it that way. So, are you ready? Nerves suddenly swarm my stomach, but I nod anyway. I think so. Great. Let's go. Anna leaps to her feet and slides on the heels she left by the side of the bed. I take a deep, settling breath. I have no idea if this is the right decision. Will I even be able to go through with doing anything more than I did last week? And what if I show up and he doesn't? Even worse, what if I show up and he's with someone else? Don't talk yourself out of it now, Vi. Anna wraps her arms around me from behind and rests her chin on my shoulder, regarding my reflection in the mirror. Whatever's going on in that pretty head of yours, ignore it. If he's not there, or whatever, then screw him. You and I can have plenty of fun on the dance floor. Or we can find another McHottie for you to get your freak on with. I let out a laugh. Even when I'm at my lowest, Anna knows how to cheer me up. It's why she's the only person I told about Eric. At the time it happened, I was feeling so low. I knew confiding in her would help me dig myself out of the hole I'd been wallowing in. If I'd spilled everything to Mark, he would have defaulted to full protective mode and gone ballistic, potentially getting himself into trouble in the process. Particularly since Eric's boss is a state senator and his uncle. There was no way I'd let my big brother potentially risk his career for my sake. Anna's right. Tonight isn't about a man. Not really. It's about remembering what it's like to enjoy myself, rediscovering the old me, the woman who's gotten a little lost over the last 20 months. I give my friend a firm nod. Yep, let's go and have fun. Half an hour later, we're pulling up outside the familiar, unassuming building. We both donned the same masks we wore last week, but this time it's me scanning my membership card. It still seems so bizarre. Inside, we pass off our purses. The woman stationed at the desk is not the same one from last time, but she's just as friendly and professional. Once the check-in process is complete, we make our way into the club. I know what to expect now, but watching all the masked men and women mingling in the dim light is still surreal. Tamping down my nerves, I search the crowd for a devil mask. When I don't spot one, I tell myself not to be too disappointed. After all, he might not be here yet. Or he might be in a section of the club I can't see. I smile at Anna. Let's get a drink. One slowly sipped Cosmopolitan later, that disappointment has gained ground. After another, I've decided I got my hopes up for nothing. Anna pulls me onto the dance floor, and I'm about to write all of this off as something I'll laugh with her about later, much later, after the sharp edge of disappointment dulls a little. when a man in a Roman soldier mask approaches.
"Ladies?"
He says, his voice deep, but not quite as deep as the man from last week.
"May I join you?"
Uncertain, I glance at Anna, who grins at me in return. Sure? I don't get any flutters in my stomach when he trains his dark eyes on me, but I let him wrap a muscular arm around my waist and pull me back against his chest. I do my best not to compare the feel of his body to my memory of another one. That man invited me here tonight and, just like I feared, has left me hanging. Why should I pine after him? He's practically a stranger, after all. A stranger who had his fingers inside me. A stranger who, just with those fingers, made me come harder than any man before him. That doesn't mean he owes me anything, though, or that I owe him. Even if he did buy a very expensive membership for me. That was his choice, and he didn't give me the caveat that I could only use it to see him again. I will myself to relax into the body behind me, despite that it doesn't feel quite right. Anna catches my eye, cocking her head in a subtle gesture to check that I'm okay. When I nod, she smiles and focuses her attention on another masked man loitering to the side of us. Needing no more encouragement, he's soon grinding away at her back. The man behind me grips my hips in his big hands and pulls me back tighter against him. I try not to tense when his hard length presses against my ass. He's not being shy about pushing that thing into me either, which makes sense, I suppose, considering where we are. The ambiance of this part of the club makes it easy to forget about its deeper purpose. Obviously, that's deliberate. After all, the place is meant to cater to almost any and all activities the rich and famous are interested in, be that enjoying a casual drink, a sexy dance, or full-on kink indulgence, all while ensuring anonymity. I can't help but peek over at the doorway Anna said leads to the private, and not-so-private, rooms. My stomach flips. When I pictured coming back here tonight, I wondered whether I'd be daring enough to pass through that door. I may have even gotten a little worked up thinking about it. In no way did I imagine doing it with another random stranger, though. From the way this guy is breathing hot and heavy in my ear, I can sense the question coming. Would I even consider it? My answer comes an instant later when the man presses a wet, open-mouthed kiss against my neck. My heart jumps into my throat and I instinctively shudder. Nope. I'm not feeling it at all. I try to pull away, but he's holding on to me too tightly. I throw a glance at Anna in the hopes that she'll know what to do, only she's not looking at me. She's focused on something over my shoulder, her eyes wide and her lips parted slightly. A second later, I find out why. The hands gripping my hips release me so quickly, I almost stumble forward. With a gasp, I spin around, only to find a tall form wearing a familiar devil mask looming over the man I've been dancing with. He bends down so they're almost nose to nose, and from here, his growled,
"She's mine,"
is impossible to miss. Those two words, said in that low, gravelly tone, send a flare of heat up my spine. My physical response shocks me. After Eric, I didn't imagine I'd find any level of possessiveness a turn on. I guess I've been proven wrong, at least where this guy is concerned. The man in the Roman soldier mask puts both hands up in the air.
Sorry, I didn't think she was collared."
My eyes almost bug out. Collared?
"She's not a sub. Doesn't mean she's not mine."
His tone is uncompromising. Anna's at my side now, grasping my arm. The guy she was dancing with has disappeared, though the grin stretched across her face below her mask makes it clear she doesn't care. "That is hot as hell," she whispers in my ear. I'm too stunned to formulate a coherent reply. In the next moment, a large bouncer in a black suit appears at our side.
Is there a problem here?
Roman soldier shakes his head.
No problem. Just a misunderstanding.
The bouncer looks between the men, then does a double take. He focuses on the man in the devil mask.
My apologies, sir. Is everything okay?
A wave of confusion washes over me. In this place, which is literally filled with VIPs, why does this guy get special treatment? He nods.
Everything's fine. This gentleman was just finding somewhere else to be.
With a shake of his head, Roman soldier guy disappears into the crowd. I don't notice whether the bouncer fades away as well because I'm too busy scrutinizing the visible parts of the man standing in front of me, trying to figure out who he is. Unease flickers to life in my chest as I examine him. The line of his jaw and the shape of his mouth trigger a thrum of awareness that I don't remember from last weekend. I step closer, angling my face up toward him. If I can get a better look at his eyes, then maybe it will shake loose the nagging sense of familiarity. The truth is hovering just under the surface of my conscious mind. Without thinking, I reach up and drift my fingertips along his jaw, the faint rasp of stubble sending a tingle down my arm. A muscle leaps under my touch, and he gently takes my wrist and pulls it away from his face.
Violet,
He says, his tone low, almost like a warning. With a gasp, I snatch my hand back and clutch it to my chest, not because he shouldn't know my name, but because the moment it fell from his lips, the connection clicked into place. How did I not see it before? Tate? I whisper. He inclines his head and my heart plummets. How could this happen? Tate King, arrogant bastard, playboy extraordinaire. And last week, I let him. He had his fingers in my... I press my hand to my stomach. You knew? A wave of humiliation and betrayal crashes over me, making my face flame. I back away from him, but he stops me by taking hold of my arm, his grip firm, but not painful.
I didn't.
He says.
Not then.
Rigid in his hold, I shake my head. Even if he's telling the truth. You came tonight, though. Expecting what? To go even further? To have sex? Anna steps closer to me. What's going on? Do you want me to have security come back? Based on the interaction only a moment ago, security knows exactly who he is, so I'm not sure that will be any help. Tate's jaw clenches.
Let me explain, Violet.
Now I know why the prickly irritation that hit me last weekend felt so familiar. It's the same reaction I used to have when I visited Mark at college and had to spend time with his infuriating roommate, one of the few people who could get under my skin, and who seemed to enjoy it far too much. I cross my arms over my chest, eyes narrowed. Go on, then. Explain.
Chapter 11. Tate. The anger and betrayal are practically rolling off her. I quickly survey the crowded dance floor, noting the people still eyeing us after the disruption. The disruption I caused. My reaction to seeing that man's hands and mouth on her might have been a little over the top. It's far from my usual response when it comes to women. Not here, I say to her. Come to one of the private rooms. She tugs her arm back, and I release my grip. Holding on to her right now isn't going to help.
You think I'd go to a sex room with you?
She hisses, glaring at me through slitted blue eyes. I can't help it. I almost smile at her outrage. She's recovering her equilibrium, and there's fire in her gaze now. The way my dick twitches probably makes me a little twisted. Not for sex, so I can explain in private. She lifts her chin, and with those still narrowed eyes, her expression is so familiar, I can't believe I didn't recognize her last week. This is the look she'd give me during her visits to Mark, when she couldn't help but argue with me. The one she'd hit me with, just before a snarky comment would pop out of her mouth. Before she can refuse, I casually shrug, knowing it will rile her up. Of course, if you think you won't be able to control yourself alone with me. Her full lips pressed together.
Fine. But you only get 15 minutes, and then Anna and I are out of here.
She turns to her friend, who's watching in avid interest.
Right? Right. 15 minutes.
Anna replies, tapping the slim watch on her wrist.
I'll be timing you.
It's wrong, and it will only serve to piss her off more, but I can't help myself from leaning close and whispering in Violet's ear. Are you giving me a time challenge? Because I'm very good at performing under those circumstances. She snorts, turning her head just enough to meet my gaze from the corner of one narrowed blue eye.
I'm not surprised, considering all the practice you've had. Of course, that's with women who are actually attracted to you.
You certainly seemed attracted to me last week. The way her jaw drops before snapping shut again tells me the reminder probably wasn't welcome. I take a step back. If I don't stop pushing my luck, I'll lose the opportunity to explain. With a deep breath, I rein myself in. Come on, I say. Without thinking, I reach down and thread my fingers through hers. I half expect her to jerk away, and I wouldn't blame her if she did. But she doesn't. She looks over at her friend.
Will you be okay?
Anna nods.
I'll shake my booty for another 15 minutes. Then we're out of here. You can explain
Her gaze flicks to me, then back to Violet.
everything on the drive home.
Not waiting for Violet to change her mind, I lead her off the dance floor, weaving through the writhing bodies. It's only when we reach the entrance to the back area that she hesitates. I stop and turn to her.
She
stutters, focusing on anything other than my face.
I haven't been back here. Is there going to be stuff happening?
You know what kind of club you're in, right? I can guarantee there's plenty of stuff happening. She sucks in a breath, her big blue eyes meeting mine, then darting away again.
I'm not sure I want to see it.
Her uncertainty makes my chest pinch. This woman is such a fucking contradiction, going from fiery to vulnerable in the blink of an eye. I step toward her, take her chin between my thumb and forefinger, and tip her face up to mine. These people are here enjoying themselves, just like you did last weekend. She bites her bottom lip and looks away again, no doubt because I've reminded her of what we did together. I use my thumb to gently tug her lip from between her teeth. The guests here aren't ashamed of what they're doing, just like you shouldn't be ashamed of what we did. I study her, trying to read her expression under the mask. The anger she was exuding before has been temporarily muted, replaced by nervousness and embarrassment. We're going to walk down these corridors. You can look, or you can stay focused on me. It's completely up to you. Okay? After another brief hesitation, she nods. I'm still holding her hand, and when I start forward again, she comes with me, walking close by my side. Even though she doesn't particularly like me, she trusts me enough to do this, and that thought warms me in a way I don't want to examine too closely. Unlike Violet, I'm familiar with this area, so I don't bother looking into the rooms we pass. I only care about finding privacy so that I can explain why I showed up tonight. Though considering I was determined not to, I'm not 100% sure I know the answer to that question myself. Except that, when I was sitting at home in my penthouse, drinking whiskey and staring out at the lights of New York spread out beneath me, I couldn't get the vision of her here without me out of my head. I imagined her searching for me, then eventually giving up and letting another man, or, God fucking forbid, multiple men touch her, give her pleasure, hear her gasps and feel her come apart for them. Before I knew it, I was out of my seat and grabbing the mask I'd held on to from last week. And yeah, that makes me an asshole. Because despite what Violet might think, I don't intend to take any of those things for myself. I just don't want anyone else taking them either. The sounds of moans saturate the hallways we walk down, interspersed with the occasional loud cry of pain or pleasure, or both. The distinctive sounds of slapping flesh, or the sharp crack of a paddle or cane, emanate from a few of the rooms we pass. People are gathered outside the rooms that haven't been screened for privacy, watching the activities. I can't help but glance over my shoulder at Violet, to see whether she's letting herself look. Sure enough, her eyes are wide and fixed on what's taking place behind the window we're passing. A fully dressed man pleasuring a naked woman with a magic wand, while she's strapped down, helpless to do anything to resist him. My hand tightens around Violet's as the image morphs in my head until it's her strapped down, and me wielding the toy, making her come over and over again until she begs me to fill her with my cock. Lust hits me like a punch to the gut. With a deep breath, I force it down. That's not what I should be thinking about when it comes to Violet, and it's certainly not what she wants from me. When she faces forward again, she ducks her chin, making it impossible for me to read her expression, and the mask she's wearing means I can't tell if her cheeks are flushed. If this situation were different, if I wasn't the man she can't stand, and she wasn't Mark's little sister, I'd press her up against the wall, slide my hand into her panties, and check for myself whether what she'd witnessed had turned her on. If things were different, maybe I'd take her to another room and do exactly the same thing to her. Except in that little fantasy, I wouldn't allow anyone to watch. No, I'd keep that experience all to myself. Not that it matters, because it'll never happen. I just have to convince my dick about that before Violet sees the bulge it's making in my pants. With the turn of a corner, we approach the room I'm after. Compared to the others in the club, it's plain. That fact is why it's not used as often. I lead her in but don't close the door behind us. Not yet. She takes several steps inside, her head turning as she examines the space. Her focus is quickly stolen by the enormous bed. The heavy wooden headboard and footboard are studded with metal bolts that can be used for tie points. But that's about it. It's probably Onyx's least kinky room, making it the most suitable for our conversation. I flick the switch next to the long window facing the corridor, rendering the smart glass opaque for privacy, then turn to Violet. We'll need to close the door if we want to take our masks off. It's her choice. If she's more comfortable with the door left open, we'll keep our masks on. But I'd rather be face to face for this conversation. And this particular mask won't do me any favors when it comes to convincing her I'm innocent either. Not that innocent is a word that's often used to describe me, but in this case, at least it's true. To my relief, Violet nods and turns to close the door herself. Once it clicks shut, I pull the mask off over my head. For a moment, she only examines me from across the room, but finally, she removes hers as well. Her hair is tousled, and her cheeks are pink. Maybe because of the mask, or maybe in response to what we just walked past. Or it could be due to this situation she's found herself in. Regardless, she looks as sexy as hell standing in front of me in her shimmery blue dress. Her chin is angled up to meet my gaze, exposing the smooth column of her throat and the deep V of her cleavage. I'm suddenly having trouble remembering why I shouldn't lay her down in the bed next to us and make her feel good all over again. I'm reminded soon enough. She glances away, rakes her fingers through her hair, then crosses her arms, her butterfly mask dangling from her fingers.
Explain, please.
I toss my own mask onto the bed and rub a hand over the back of my neck. I was here last week because I'm co-owner of this club. My business partner and I were talking at the bar when I saw you come in. And the honest-to-God truth is, I didn't know who you were then, just like you didn't know who I was. It's been years since we've seen each other, and even before that, you only visited Mark a few times each year. It's hardly a surprise that with these masks on, in this place, neither of us recognize the other. She tilts her head, silently assessing me. No matter what you think of me personally, Violet, I wouldn't lie about that. She nods, almost reluctantly, but still doesn't speak. When Mark invited me to have lunch at your shop, I continue, all I thought was that it would be good to see you again. That has her brows arching up.
Why?
I don't know. I searched for the words to explain my anticipation, to see how you were doing, to see whether you still disliked me as much as you did back then. Believe it or not, I always enjoyed your visits. Her arms dropped to her sides.
We'd bickered the whole time I was there.
I take a step toward her, and I liked it. It was refreshing.
You mean it was a nice change from all the women throwing themselves at you?
She doesn't physically roll her eyes, but I hear it in her voice. My lips quirk. Something like that. Anyway, the takeaway is that Mark invited me along, and I was curious enough to say yes, and then I step forward again. This time when I do, I'm close enough to touch her shoulder. When my fingertips brush her bare skin, she inhales sharply. Doing my best to ignore the way her pulse flutters at the base of her throat, I turn her just enough to reveal the tattoo on her back. I saw this. Barely making contact, I trace the outline of the blue and black wings, the same way I did that first night. Goosebumps erupt all over her skin in response to my touch. I inhale deeply, flattening my hand so it covers the entire tattoo. Then I close my eyes and imagine sliding it down the length of her spine until I can feel my palm with the curve of her ass. After one long heartbeat, I force myself to step back. Violet turns to face me. Her cheeks are flushed again, her nipples pressing against the thin material of her dress. She might not like me much, but there's no disguising that her body likes my touch. It's obvious she knows it too, when she quickly crosses her arms again and clears her throat.
And tonight? Why did you come back?
This is the tricky part. I wasn't going to. After I saw you at the coffee shop, I planned to leave well enough alone. But I decide on a half-truth. I didn't like the idea of you waiting for someone who never showed up. I didn't want you to think that I didn't come because I didn't want to see you. So I came here to tell you the truth, and then I was going to leave. For a second, her expression softens, but then her brow furrows.
But why did you chase off that other guy? Why tell him I was yours?
Even now I have to resist the urge to curl my fingers into fists at the memory of that douchebag touching her. It's a completely irrational response, considering who she is and who I am, but I can't help it. I didn't want you doing something with him you'd regret, just because your feelings might have been hurt. Her eyes widen for a moment before her delicate jaw clenches. Clearly, that was the wrong thing to say.
Let me get this straight. You only came tonight because you thought you needed to save me from myself? Because you assumed I'd be so devastated by your absence that I'd throw myself at the next man to come along, then end up regretting it because he wasn't you?
I really shouldn't be turned on right now, but fuck. When she looks at me with those sparks flashing in her eyes, all I can imagine is pinning her to the bed and playing with her body until that fiery antagonism turns into a completely different but equally incendiary emotion. I don't think she'll appreciate me mentioning that, though, not when she's still on a roll.
I'm more than capable of making my own decisions, Tate. Just because you made me come once doesn't mean I would have fallen apart if I hadn't seen you again. Not to mention, you gave me a year's membership. Did you think I wouldn't use it to enjoy other men once you were inevitably done with me?
Whether she means it or is reacting out of anger, the thought makes my blood pressure spike. Teeth gritted, I pin her with my gaze. That was before I knew who you were. She lets out a cute little growl.
So, once you discovered who I was, you regretted what happened between us and now you feel guilty. But if you still thought I was a stranger, then you probably would have come here tonight and screwed me, then walked away like you do with every woman. Would you even have cared what I did? Or who I did it with after that?
The answer should be no. I've never cared who or what my sexual partners do before or after me. I expect the same courtesy from them. What Violet doesn't know is that her very presence here now is unusual. I don't invite women back because I haven't had enough of them. I don't pay for membership so I can see them again. Since finding out who she is, I've been racking my brain and picking apart every detail of our interaction. Did some deep, subconscious part of me recognize her that first night? Was that why I couldn't keep my eyes off her from the minute she walked into Onyx? Why I needed to be the one who took care of her? I can't tell her what I would have done after, because I don't fucking know. She takes my silence as agreement.
Oh my God. You are so egotistical. You came here to rescue me because you thought I'd be so heartbroken if you didn't show that I'd lose all ability to reason and allow myself to get taken advantage of.
She steps forward and pokes me in the chest.
I'll have you know, Tate King, I'm a grown woman. And I can, and will, sleep with whoever I want, wherever I want, whenever I want. Your friendship with my brother doesn't come with the obligation of protecting me, and it doesn't give you any say in the matter.
She shakes her head.
I think we're done here.
Before I can formulate a response, she pulls her mask over her face, whips around and stomps from the room. Quite a feat in the heel she's wearing. I don my mask as well before following her out. I don't care what she says. I won't let her wander around back here by herself. Not that she's in any danger. Redesigned this place with safety in mind, but I don't want her being propositioned in the corridor by a random man. And I don't want her to do something stupid just to prove a point. I walk far enough behind her to let her feel like she's making a dramatic exit, but close enough to intervene if necessary. She walks briskly down the corridor, briefly glancing into each room as she passes. At one in particular, her steps slow. She doesn't stop completely, but she definitely shows more interest there than she has the others. Then she shoots a look over her shoulder, sees me, and hauls ass again. I don't bother hiding my grin, and when I draw even with the window she was so interested in, I can't help but take a moment to check out what caught her attention. A woman, skin sheen with sweat, is flat on her back on a bench, arms and legs tied, leaving her helpless to move. A man kneels between her spread thighs while she tosses her head, her eyes scrunched closed. Does Violet like the idea of being held down? Made helpless and forced to endure more pleasure than she thinks she can take? Fuck. When I find her again, my gaze lingers on the sway of her hips. I shouldn't be thinking about that. I shouldn't stare at her ass and remember the way it filled my hands. I shouldn't imagine having her at my mercy and fucking all that fire out of her until she's warm and limp and pliant underneath me. And what I definitely shouldn't do is catch her arm just before she and her friend walk off the dance floor to leave, or slide my hand around the nape of her neck. But I do it anyway. Then I lean in close and lower my voice so only she can hear me. If I had known it was you last weekend, I would never have touched you. But if you think for 1 second that I regret experiencing the way you came all over my fingers, then you're mistaken. Her lips part on a gasp, and her pupils flare in response to my words. I'm so damn tempted to say fuck it. Forget the fact that she's Mark's sister and kiss her. Prove to her she doesn't dislike me quite as much as she likes to think she does. That she never has. But I restrain myself. I've been irresponsible too often in the past, and I'm determined to do things differently. Knowingly kissing my friend's and lawyer's little sister in the middle of a sex club is the definition of irresponsible. I may have made her come a week ago, but kissing her like this wouldn't be about anonymous sex. It would be something else, something more, and that's one thing I never let myself do. So instead, I allow myself a single brush of my thumb along her jaw. Then I let her go. Chapter 12. Tate. First thing Monday morning, I saunter into Roman's office and throw myself onto the leather couch next to Cole. Stretching my legs out and lacing my hands together over my stomach, I arch my brows and look from him to Roman, who's sitting across the coffee table from us, with an expression even more severe than usual on his face. "What's the emergency?" I ask. The second I stepped foot in the office this morning, my PA Sophie informed me that Roman needed to see me immediately. He leans forward, his elbows on his knees. Something's happened. From the frown on his face, it's not a positive something. With a groan, I tip my head back. Why does it feel like we're always putting out fires around here? Because people keep starting them. Roman snaps. His tone has me straightening and side-eyeing my other brother, who's also looking a little too serious for my liking. What's going on? Roman rubs his forehead, then glances at Cole. You tell him. Cole presses a button on the laptop sitting on the table in front of him and angles the screen toward me so I can read it. I frown down at the headline, which screams out at me. Royal flirt. King caught cozying up to UK envoy's queen. Beneath it is a photo of me with a familiar red-haired woman, Serena Worthington, former supermodel and current wife of the British ambassador to the U.S. She's also a woman I fucked once. It was years ago, long before she met her husband, and I haven't touched her since. Not that anyone could tell that from the photo. No, in the image, Serena appears to be pressed up against me, her hand on my arm. Our faces are turned toward each other, only inches apart. It would be easy to assume that we were moments away from kissing. What the fuck? I growl. Please tell me it's not what it looks like, Cole says, his voice tight. Because you realize the ambassador's brother sits on London's Planning and Development Committee, right? Piss him off, and our upcoming London developments could be faced with any number of unnecessary delays. Ignoring the tension that knots my back at his lack of faith in me, I shake my head. It's not what it looks like. Then what the fuck is it? Roman asks. I scrub my hand over my face. This was at the British art exhibition at the Met the other week. The one you insisted I attend. We were just talking. She told me she had information on one of the European real estate conglomerates looking to sell off some of its holdings. When I asked her for details, she said she'd prefer no one know she gave me the information. Then she leaned in and whispered it in my ear. It was completely fucking innocent. That's not how it looks. Frustration colors Roman's tone, especially given your reputation. I narrow my eyes, the tension transforming into aggravation. My reputation? You mean the one everyone keeps throwing in my face, even though I've spent day after day proving that's not who I am anymore? It's not? He asks. Then you wouldn't mind telling us where you disappeared to 2 weekends ago, when you should have been at the gala, would you? His gaze pierces into me. I take a deep breath in through my nose and focus on keeping my composure. I got bored and left. I've gone to every single event you've pointed me at over the last few months, so excuse me for wanting to have an early night for once. And you're telling me that night didn't end with you balls deep in a woman? I temper the shit-eating grin threatening to spread across my face, so he doesn't get suspicious. Hand on my heart, I didn't fuck anyone that night. He scrutinizes me, brows pulled low, but I don't let my eye contact waver. I'm not lying, though he doesn't need to know the details about what I was doing. And it's not like what happened with Violet was my plan when I left the gala. He lets out a harsh breath and pinches the bridge of his nose. I'm sorry. I know you've been stepping up and taking the hits when it comes to these events. But unfortunately, it takes more than a few months of being discreet to repair a reputation you've spent years cultivating. The tabloids don't forget that easily. Now I do feel a little bad. This is the first time he's apologized to me in years. Hell, the last time he did was probably when we were kids. And the worst part is that he's right. This is my fault. I've spent too many years caught up in my own issues to give a damn what was reported about me. Now it's coming back to bite me in the ass. We'll get them to post a retraction tomorrow, I say. I'm sure she'll be refuting the claims as well. But Roman shakes his head. The lawyers are already on it. But I'm not convinced that's going to be enough. We can respond, and so can she. But the tabloids are going to keep going after you, because they see you as an easy target. You're the King Group's wild card, but we can't afford to keep putting out fires, especially after what happened with Dad. Frustration rips through me. There's nothing I can do about what they decide to print. I think there is. With every one of my brother's words, my dread deepens. What are you suggesting? You need a buffer. I raise my brows and wait for him to clarify. A girlfriend, he states. You need to find yourself a girlfriend. I bark out a laugh. He can't be serious. After what happened with Cole, I would have thought he'd learned his lesson. Thanks, but I'll pass. Your matchmaking services haven't exactly received rave reviews. His jaw tightens, and what looks like regret flashes across his face. He doesn't back down, though. This isn't matchmaking. This is damage control. You're chief of marketing. You should know how these stories can keep snowballing. We can't afford to lose investor confidence again. And as chief of marketing, I can come up with another way to handle things if needed. But a fake girlfriend? Come on. You can't really think that's necessary. Normally, I wouldn't agree with Roman. Cole speaks up. I scowl at him. Traitor. The corners of his lips quirk up, as if he can read my mind. This could be a good solution, Tate. The King Group really doesn't need more scandal so soon after Dad's conviction. Even fake scandals. If the tabloids see you with one woman on your arm for a few months, hopefully they'll get bored and focus their attention elsewhere. After you break up, you'll have proven you're no longer New York's biggest playboy. And it's not like you have to actually do anything with whoever she is other than go out together in public and pretend to only have eyes for her. Damn it, he has a point. A girlfriend is the last thing I want or need. But apart from my mistake with Violet, I've been doing my best not to fuck around anyway. Would it really hurt to act the part of a taken man for a few months? Not only could it help me prove I'm just as serious about the King Group as my brothers, but it could help me to finally shed my reputation. With our current focus on Genesis 1, the last thing the King Group needs is made-up reports about my antics overshadowing one of our most significant projects. Roman clears his throat. I'm not going to force you, he says, his gaze flicking to Cole for a split second before returning to me. But if we can find a woman who will be on board with this plan, then no one will get hurt, and it will hopefully get the tabloids off your back. Once everything has died down, you and the woman you choose to do this with can go your separate ways. Right, I say. But I've stopped listening, because one detail of my previous train of thought has gotten stuck in my head. Well, what are we thinking? Cole scoots to the edge of his chair. A professional actress? Roman roughs a hand down his face. That will look too obviously staged, though a model might do. Whoever she is, she'll need to be content to take the money and attention that will come along with it and sign an NDA to keep quiet about the arrangement. My brothers continue hashing things out, but I'm too busy turning an idea over in my head to contribute. An idea I should have dismissed the instant it materialized. But I can't. Because, according to Mark, Violet needs money for True Brew. And she doesn't like me at all, even less so now than before. So there's no risk of her becoming emotionally attached. I could sell this to her as the business arrangement it is. A scenario where I can sidestep any number of potential future scandals, and she gets the financial boost her coffee shop needs. All she has to do is pretend to be crazy about me for a few months. That thought has my lips curving up. The idea of watching her try to do that appeals in a way it probably shouldn't. We'll get our legal team to draw up a contract, Cole's saying. Ensure the terms are clear so there aren't any misunderstandings. Yeah, I murmur absently, my mind still on the logistics of getting Violet to agree to this arrangement. Do you have someone in mind? Cole asks, squinting at my obvious preoccupation. I focus my attention back on him. Maybe. Great. Roman stands from behind his desk and buttons his jacket. I've got a meeting with the lawyers in 10 minutes to discuss getting the article retracted. He zeroes in on me. Whoever you're thinking of, lock her down and get her details to the legal team as soon as possible. I nod, another thought occurring to me. If Violet agrees to this, and it's a big if, there's no way to avoid Mark finding out. He's a member of our legal team, after all. He admits it himself, he's overprotective of his sister. So there's a chance he'll be adamantly against the proposal. But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. First, I need to get her to agree to this plan. And I don't think it'll be easy.
Chapter 13. Violet. Ah! I'd be tempted to kick the stupid espresso machine if it wouldn't hurt my foot, and if it wasn't sitting on the countertop, meaning I'd likely fall on my ass if I tried it. Jared steps up next to me and crosses his arms.
I don't know how much longer I can keep her going.
I put my hands on my hips and let out a sigh. I know. I'll check the books again tonight, see where I can find some money. A commercial espresso machine costs thousands of dollars, but maybe I can find a second-hand one for slightly less.
I can put something toward it. I have some savings,
he says. I drag a tired but genuine smile onto my face. Thank you, Jared. That's sweet of you. But I'll figure it out. The last thing I want is him risking his money on what might very well be a sinking ship. Though just the thought of that being the case makes my chest hollow. He opens his mouth as if he's going to protest, but the bell over the door rings, signaling we have a customer.
If you get that, I'll try and keep her going a little longer,
he says. I pat his forearm. What would I do without you? He winks and I give him a smile, then turn to the person who's just come in. My smile drops, along with my mood, as I register who the customer is. The grin Tate is wearing only spreads. I'm assuming in recognition of my dismay. As he saunters toward me, his body encased in an impeccably tailored business suit, his eyes glittering, it's almost impossible to ignore how sexy he is. Annoyingly, I have to admit that a look like that from Tate King would make most women weak in the knees. Considering what I know of him and what he now knows about me, my own knees stay strong. Mostly. With a brush of my hands down my denim-clad thighs, I meet him at the counter. Tate. His smile grows even wider at my terse tone, as if he actually likes it. It's annoying. He's annoying.
Violet.
I look over my shoulder at Jared, then turn back to Tate and lower my voice. I wasn't expecting to see you. The again is implied. He leans casually against the countertop, assessing the empty coffee shop a little too knowingly.
Busy day?
I grit my teeth and will away the irritation that sparks to life in my chest at that simple sentence. It will pick up soon.
Until it does, do you have time for a cup of coffee?
I frown. With you?
Yes, with me.
He chuckles.
We need to talk.
I huff out a breath and cross my arms. I can't imagine we have anything to talk about.
That's where you're wrong. We have a lot to talk about.
If he thinks I have any interest in rehashing the events of last Friday night, or the one before, especially here, he's very wrong. I don't think—
Violet.
His voice is low, and those unfairly gorgeous golden brown eyes of his pierce into me, sending a jolt of adrenaline through my veins.
Stop arguing and just spare me a few minutes of your time.
I swallow. For a moment, I'm transported back to that first night at Onyx. To the way he looked at me when he told me he'd make me come so hard I'd feel it for days. The horrible part is that I did. I still do. The memory of how good he made me feel with just his fingers has haunted me since that night. Even more so after I found out he was the man in the devil mask. I hate knowing that before I found out who he was, I got myself off to the memory of him touching me. I hate even more that I've had to force myself not to fantasize about it again in the days since. My skin warms, and I hope to God he can't tell where my thoughts have gone. But apparently my curiosity as to what Tate could possibly want to talk to me about is stronger than my embarrassment. I let out a breath and turned to Jared, finding him already watching us, a quizzical look in his eyes. Could you coax 2 cups of coffee out of the machine and bring them over to us? He gives me a smile.
Sure thing, boss.
When I turn back to Tate, he's focused on Jared. I can't quite read his expression, but a moment later, his attention is on me again. He gestures toward the back of the shop, and I round the counter and follow him to a table in the corner. When we get there, he surprises me by pulling my chair out for me. I slip into the seat, stumbling over my thanks, and his mouth tilts up in amusement as he slides into the seat opposite. "Why are you here?" I ask. I'd rather not drag this out any longer than I have to. Rather than answer straight away, he merely leans back in his chair and extends his long legs out under the table. I move my own out of the way when he brushes against them.
"I have a proposition for you,"
he says. My brows scrunch up, as well as my nose. What kind of proposition?
"One which will be mutually beneficial for both of us."
Considering how different our worlds are, how different we are, it's hard to believe any type of proposition could benefit us both. Even so, he's piqued my curiosity. Okay, what is it then? Instead of spilling the details, he falls quiet and watches over my shoulder. A moment later, Jared appears carrying 2 cups of coffee. He places them in front of us, and after we thank him, he gives me a smile, nods at Tate, and heads back to the counter. Only once he's out of hearing range does Tate speak.
"I need your help with a problem, and, in return, I can help you with this shop."
I flinch. Is it that obvious that I'm struggling? Why do you think I need your help? His brows rise and he glances around, drawing attention to the emptiness in place of what should be the bustle of customers.
"Don't you?"
It's just a bit slow right now.
"I've been in twice now, and it's been slow both times."
I shift in my seat and wrap my hands tightly around my mug. I'm working on getting things back on track.
"And I can help you do that far more quickly and efficiently than if you keep trying on your own."
I look away from Tate's too perceptive gaze. I don't need a handout.
"It's not a handout. It's a business arrangement."
I shouldn't listen to him. I should tell him to enjoy his coffee and then go out the back and move some money around so I can buy a new espresso machine. Except I'm terrified that there isn't any money to move. Our contract with Jose isn't cheap, and I've only recently been able to start serving the coffee he used to supply us with again. The quality coffee that Dad built this place around. Not only am I banking on bringing people back in with it, but if I have to cancel the contract, Jose won't give me another chance. It wouldn't be fair to expect him to. Other than the contract with him, the shop's budget has no wiggle room. Cutting costs anywhere else is impossible. A business arrangement with Tate has to be better than admitting defeat and either risking a loan or losing the place altogether. Okay, what's the arrangement? A hint of a smirk curls his mouth.
"I need you to pretend to be in a relationship with me."
I raise a brow and wait for him to laugh and tell me what he really wants. But he merely takes a sip of his coffee, his full attention locked on me. Finally, I realize he's not going to laugh. You can't be serious.
"I'm absolutely serious. I want you to pretend to be my girlfriend for a few months."
His smirk broadens.
"Bear in mind, you're the first woman I've ever asked to date me, so don't break my heart by saying no, butterfly."
He's joking. He has to be. Because what he's asking makes no sense. But still, the way he says butterfly, in the same low tone as that first night at Onyx, has my stomach involuntarily flipping. If I were smart, I'd get up and walk away. Instead, I ask the single question gnawing at me. Why on earth would you need a fake girlfriend? He rubs his hand over his chin.
"There are some things being printed about me in the tabloids that have the potential to be detrimental to the King Group."
Why does that not surprise me? This is Tate I'm dealing with, after all. I should have known it would be something like that. Don't tell me you screwed someone you shouldn't have. My mind flashes back to the first time I met him. Or to someone's. Surprisingly, the near-constant amusement in his gaze fades.
Not two someones. Not even one someone. These are photos being taken out of context. Unfortunately, the tabloids are relentless, and we need to start managing the narrative before it begins to negatively affect the company.
My brain ticks over. And you think a fake girlfriend will somehow convince the world you're now responsible and committed? He nods, eyes still fixed on me. It's disconcerting. But then I've always found being the focus of Tate's attention a little too disconcerting for my liking. Why me? There must be any number of women who would be more than interested in dating you.
Because I don't need a real girlfriend. I need a fake girlfriend. A woman I already have a connection with so that I won't appear to come out of the blue. A woman for whom this will be a simple business transaction.
He arches one brow, his amusement returning.
Maybe a woman who doesn't even like me, who won't catch feelings.
I scrunch up my nose. Because you're such an amazing guy that any woman would fall for you if they spend more than one night by your side. He laughs, completely unfazed by my tone.
Something like that.
That I'm still sitting here has me questioning my sanity. Pretending to date Tate is a terrible idea, but I can see the logic. Kind of. So how long do you think it will take to manage the narrative? He shrugs.
It's hard to say. A couple of months, maybe more. We could add a term extension into the contract if needed.
A contract. Right. And I've yet to discover what the other side of this arrangement would entail. Explain to me what I would get for pretending to be certifiably insane for 2 or more months. His mouth twitches like he's fighting a smile.
Insane?
How else would you describe someone who would actually fall for your... I wave my finger in his direction.
Charm, good looks, sexual prowess.
He offers. I cock my head and give him a sweet smile. Huge ego. He tips his head back and laughs, and it's impossible to stop myself from staring at the strong column of his throat. Memories of pressing my lips there as I writhed on his lap force their way into my head. I squeeze my eyes shut and will them away. Still, my cheeks burn, and arousal coils low in my belly. When I focus on Tate again, he's no longer laughing. His gaze is hot and intent, and fixed entirely on me. How red is my face right now? Does he know why?
For pretending like you can't get enough of my huge ego.
His smirk returns, and I roll my eyes.
I'll give you $50,000.
My heart stalls, then shoots into overdrive. Before I can open my mouth to respond, his next words shut me up completely.
Per month.
I sag back in my chair, my racing pulse making me lightheaded. $100,000 minimum. More if the fake relationship continues for longer than 2 months. That would be life-changing. I could invest it all back into True Brew, buy new equipment, hire additional staff, get the place back to the way it should be. It seems too good to be true. A niggling suspicion makes me sit upright again. I grip my fingers together. Mark isn't behind this, is he? I know he'd like to help, but regardless of how well the King Group pays him, I refuse to drain his savings in the event that I can't make this work. The corners of Tate's eyes crinkle as if he's suppressing a smile.
If you think he would willingly suggest you date me, fake or not, you don't know your brother very well.
A laugh reluctantly breaks free. You're right. I don't know what I was thinking.
You know he warned me away from you before we even met.
He did?
Sat me down and gave me a very serious talking to about how his baby sister was off limits.
Warmth spreads through me, and I can't help but smile. That sounds like him. Which begs the question, how do you think he'll respond to this arrangement? Tate leans forward, scanning my face.
Does that mean you're agreeing to it?
Glancing around the quiet coffee shop, I remember how it looked a few short years ago when Dad was still with us. Back when it buzzed with energy and was filled with the chatter of happy customers. I look back at Tate. I have stipulations. The wolfish grin that spreads across his face has nervous butterflies taking flight in my stomach. What am I getting myself into?
Chapter 14. Tate. After my surprisingly successful meeting with Violet, I head back to the office. Now that she's agreed to go along with this plan, I need to talk to Mark. Initially, she wanted to be the one to inform her brother about the arrangement, but I convinced her to let me speak to him. Considering how she feels about me, I'm not confident she'd have done a good job of selling him on the idea. Though Mark isn't likely to take it very well coming from me either, even if the relationship will be completely fake. I wasn't kidding when I told her he'd warned me away from her before we'd even met. Not that I would have considered messing around with a friend's sister, especially when I had a whole college of women to have fun with back then. But Mark wasn't taking any chances, and I respect that. I'm not prone to procrastination, especially when it comes to unpleasant situations, so when I make it back to the King Group, I head straight up to the legal floor and make my way to Mark's office. He's on the phone when I get there, but when I step inside, he wraps up the conversation. After hanging up, he leans back in his chair with a grin. 2 visits in 2 weeks. What did I do to get so lucky? He won't feel quite so lucky in a moment. I pull up a chair opposite his desk. I need you to write up a contract for me. With a nod, he sits up again, picks up a pen and makes a note on a pad. Okay, what's this contract for? A relationship. He looks up from his pad with his eyebrows raised. A relationship? Like an NDA? Since when did you start dating? I didn't. This is for PR purposes only. Is this in response to that photo of you with Serena Worthington? Your brother met with general counsel about it this morning. That and all the other crap that gets printed about me. His grin is a little too broad. I have to say, I never thought you'd go the fake girlfriend route. I snored. Neither did I. I guess Roman's more convincing than I gave him credit for. Well, he drawls, obviously enjoying this. I can't wait to see how you do with that. He looks back down at his pad. Okay, what are you thinking for terms? I run through what I've already discussed with Violet, and he jots the details down on his notepad, making suggestions of his own here and there. A crease forms between his brows when I tell him the payment amount, but he doesn't comment. Okay, he finally says. I'll get this drafted and back to you for review. Once you're happy with it and you've found the woman, we can finalize it. I clear my throat and sit a little straighter. I already know who it's going to be. Surprise flashes across his face, and he picks up his pen again. You were quick. So, who's the lucky lady? Violet. He scratches the name onto his pad. Last name? I almost laugh. He didn't even blink. He's that sure I wouldn't be talking about his sister. Sinclair. His head snaps up. What? Your sister. He drops his pen on his desk. No. I lean forward, keeping my eyes fixed on his. Why not? This is strictly business, and you already know it'll benefit her significantly. Because she's my sister, Tate, and you're... you. I school my expression so he can't see the way his words hit. And she's a grown woman making a smart business decision. I have no intention of screwing her over, regardless of what you apparently think of me. Mark winces. That's not what I meant. I know you won't deliberately hurt her, but you know how charming you are. Women can't resist you, and you can't even turn it off. It's just who you are. What if she falls for you? It's been like a year since she dated anyone, and I get the feeling her last relationship didn't end that well. He frowns for a moment, then shakes his head and continues. Getting swept up in the excitement and glamour of dating Tate King might be too much for her. I can't help but smirk. I think you underestimate your sister and just how not charming she finds me. Mark's frown doesn't let up. What about all the publicity? She's not used to that kind of scrutiny. She could be put in uncomfortable situations. I don't particularly like that possibility either. I understand your concerns, and I'll do everything possible to make sure the media don't go overboard. We'll keep the relationship low-key. My hope is that it looks as though this is an ongoing secret romance that has just come to light, a relationship I want to protect from the press. Will you be able to play that? How long has it been since you've been with a woman? You have to know that if someone else comes forward and says she was with you after this relationship supposedly began, it would hurt Violet. I resist the urge to say that the last woman I was physical with was Violet. He definitely doesn't need to know that little fact, and I understand his worries, even if they grate on me. I haven't been with another woman in months. Whether anyone else is willing to acknowledge it or not, I've been working to adjust my image for a while now. I smoothed down my tie. I'll do everything in my power to make sure Violet doesn't get hurt, and I'll compensate her well for her time and effort. I've spoken to her, and she's on board with all of this. And with all due respect, Mark, I lean forward and pin him with the full weight of my stare. I'm going through this with you out of courtesy and because you're my friend, but the final decision is up to your sister. The reason I want you to write the contract is because I know you'll have her best interests at heart, and will make sure it's fair to her. But if you don't want to handle it, I'll have one of our other lawyers do it. He narrows his eyes, and for a long, drawn-out moment, tension hangs heavy in the air between us. I'm probably an idiot for forcing the issue with one of my very few real friends, but out of the many people I associate with, I trust hardly any of them with more than the surface of me. Mark's one of those I do. Finally, he looks away and picks up his pen again. When he meets my gaze, his eyes shine with concern. You're right. I should have more faith in you. And Violet's a grown woman. She can make this decision herself. But I worry about her. She went quiet on me after Dad, and it's only since she's been back in New York running the coffee shop that she's seemed more like herself. I don't want anything to jeopardize that. He sighs. Just take care of her, okay? That's all I'm asking for. I nod. He's not exactly enthusiastic, but at least he's on board. One last thing, Mark says. What's the exit strategy? Exit strategy. And then it hits me. How will we get out of this relationship when the time comes? It will have to be in a way that doesn't invite more scandal and won't make either of us look like the villain. Particularly Violet. I tip my head back and mentally run through scenarios. We can say that we've known each other for years, and that after reconnecting and spending time together, we've decided that we're better off as just friends. We can be seen together amicably a few times after the split is official to make it clear there's no blame on either side. Then that will be it. Done. Violet goes her own way and I go mine. That sounds believable. Mark rubs his chin, brow furrowed, then nods sharply. Okay, let me get this drafted. I'll call Violet, make sure I cover all of her concerns, and send it up to you when I'm done. I stand and straighten my jacket. Include whatever she needs in the contract. Her comfort is the priority. I'll work around her. He studies me, hands clasped on the desk in front of him. She'll need to be able to tell her best friend, Anna. It's not fair to ask her to lie, and she might need the support. I consider it for only a second. Include it in the NDA. Mark's shoulders relax almost imperceptibly, as if I've passed some kind of test. Okay. Just before I walk out the door, he calls out to me. Look after her, Tate. She's the only family I have left. All I can do is nod. And as I head back to the elevators, I reassure myself that all the reasons I have for making Violet my co-conspirator in this are logical and have nothing to do with the memory of her lips pressed against my neck as she came on my finger.